park. We celebrated freedom, the red, white, and blue. But what happens tomorrow when the morning is new? 250 years of struggle and grace, a promise still written on every working face. After the 4th, when the sparklers go cold, we carry the fire that our grandfathers told.
Oh, let the light shine through the breaking of dawn. 250 years and we're still marching on. Stand up in unity, hand in hand we pray, to love this land and do only good every day. From the quiet heroes sowing seeds in the clay, to the brave and honest helping along the way. We've weathered the storms, the shadows, the fight, and we keep the faith burning all through the night. After the 4th, we choose hope, we choose hope. After the celebration, we build a stronger home by doing only good every day, only good, turning our faith into life. Yes, we do only good every day, only good, holding our brothers tight. Oh, let the light shine through the breaking of dawn. 250 years and we're still marching on. Stand up in unity, hand in hand we pray, to love this land and do only good every day. Yes, we do only good every day.
And proudly to the ocean shining blue. Every sunrise tells a story of the brave and strong and true. Fields of gold and busy cities, dreams are born both night and day. Hope still finds a home forever in the heart of the USA. Many voices, one great nation.
What happened?
Many journeys, one bright star. Hand in hand, we stand together, no matter where we are. God bless America, forever let freedom ring. Raise the stars and stripes with honor, let every heartbeat sing. For every soul that came with hope, for every dream begun, united we will always stand, together we are one. God bless America, may peace light every way. With courage, faith, and grateful hearts, God bless the USA.
We all are. Yep, we all are. That's why I'm just going to do one show from now on, here on out. Probably 3.5 hours I'll do.
The flag that flies above us carries stories brave and true of the ones who stood with courage for the red, the white, and blue. Teachers, workers, moms, and fathers building futures every day. Side by side with love and honor, they make strong the USA. Different stories, one tomorrow. Different voices, shared dreams grow. Freedom's light keeps shining brighter, guiding every path we know. God bless America, forever let freedom ring. Raise the stars and stripes with honor, let every heartbeat sing. For every hand that built this land, for every sacrifice, may freedom's flame forever shine, a beacon through our lives. God bless America.
Got another 2 minutes, I got one more.
Hope light every day, with courage, love, and faithful hearts. God bless the USA. May kindness guide our footsteps, may justice lead the way. May every child find promise in tomorrow's brighter day. Through every storm we'll rise again, together we will stay, holding tight to hope and faith in the beautiful USA. God bless America, let freedom always fly underneath the endless stars, beneath the open sky. May every generation keep the dream forever bright, standing for our liberty, defending what is right. God bless the USA today and every day. With hearts of hope and hands of peace, we'll proudly say and proudly pray.
This is a good one. I might save this one.
God bless the USA.
Yeah.
From friends across the oceans, from every land and sea, may peace unite the nations and keep all people free. With love, respect, and gratitude, our voices proudly say, God bless America forever. God bless the USA.
I'm finding out. This one was a good one. I'm going to save this one, I think. I got one more, you guys.
Someone.
One minute.
What so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, take us that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the brave and the home of the brave.
What is that which the breeze on the towering steep as it fitfully blows, half conceals, half discloses?
Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam.
In full glory reflected, now shines on the stream. 'Tis the star-spangled banner, oh, long may it wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, see it ever when freemen shall stand between their long homes and while war's desolation, blessed with victory and peace, may the them rescued land praise above that hath made and preserved us a nation. They conquer it all. They are and is the arm in God is our trust, and the star-spangled banner in sorrow shall wave. On the land of the free and the home of the
All right, amen. God bless America.
That feeling when you check your
And God bless our troops, everybody, first responders, military, and so on. And I hope today will be the start of something big, what we've been waiting for a long time. When I started, I checked my date and it said the 2021, or I don't know when I started. I think it was 2021. I think I had my on this channel with all my other ones. I don't know when I first started. All right, so today we got two big videos. I found last night. We got one is one of our favorites. I'm going to play Wendy from News Force has an hour, and then Captain Kyle has an hour with John Downing. So we got two big videos I want to get out. I got a 20-minute video I'm going to play on the update on the wildfires. I think we got to play a video on that. That's going to be 20 minutes. Then, then I'll play 3 mini videos and get some short ones in. Chico. Someone's walking by the window. We'll do some shorts, and then we'll start with News Force probably after the first hour. After the first hour, we'll do that. And the weather's getting better. It was cooler. So hopefully everybody will be getting in here. KK and Carol and Tim and Lucy. And Lucy's at work. And so on. And we'll go ahead and get started so we can get a lot out by 6:30. Go later than 6:30. Baseball's back on tonight, so after the All-Star break. So let's ready to go. I guess we get going here.
Deepened. Overnight, a wildfire tore through
15
Collins
minutes.
First Nation, a fly-in community 210 kilometers north of Thunder Bay. Homes and community buildings have been destroyed. Residents fled by boat in the dark. Anishinaabe Nation Grand Council Chief Linda DeBassage confirmed the fire caused extensive damage and that community members evacuated without the support of emergency services. As of this morning, all community members known to have been in Collins at the time of the fire have been accounted for, but the community is bracing for confirmation that it has been completely devastated. This is no longer just a wildfire story. This is a story about homes gone, communities displaced, and a humanitarian crisis unfolding in real time. Good morning, everyone. This is your Ontario wildfire briefing for Thursday, the 16th of July, 2026. And there is a lot to update you on since yesterday's briefing. First, the numbers. As of the Ministry of Natural Resources official evening update on July 15th, the total fire count in Ontario has shifted to 180 active wildland fires, 136 in the Northwest region, and 44 inches the Northeast region.
Dude, guess how much it cost me to make sure my
already?
family gets $1 million if something ever happens to me? You'll never guess.
Of those, 72 fires remain completely out of control, 63 inches the Northwest and 9 inches the Northeast. Now, I need to be precise here about what that overall number means, because it could look like things are improving. Yesterday, we had 148 fires in the Northwest. Today, that number shows as 136. But that is not because fires went out. It is because several fires have merged into larger complexes, most notably Thunder Bay, 36 inches, the Wabakini area. When Dryden 13 and multiple Thunder Bay fires merged into one, they became one entry on the list, not multiple. The fire load on the ground has not decreased. The threat has not decreased. The number is just being counted differently. Meanwhile, the Northeast region went from 37 fires yesterday to 44 today, 8 new fires confirmed there on July 15. So the Northeast is escalating while the Northwest merges and continues. Let's go through what is new since yesterday's briefing, starting with the Collins First Nation situation, because this is the most significant development. Collins First Nation, Nemegu-Sissegagoon, is a remote fly-in community of between 30 and 40 people located about 210 kilometers north of Thunder Bay. It is not accessible by road. The only way in or out under normal circumstances is by air. When the fire advanced on Monday night, community members had to self-evacuate by boat in the dark, with trees catching fire next to their homes. Chief Helen Pavola described the scene. Trees directly next to houses were on fire as people fled. The community is now awaiting the Ministry of Natural Resources aerial damage assessment to confirm the full extent of what was lost. Now, the evacuation picture has also expanded significantly since yesterday's briefing. As of yesterday's updates, mandatory evacuation orders are confirmed for Armstrong, White Sand First Nation, Collins First Nation, Lac des Mille Lacs First Nation, Lac LaCroix First Nation, also known as Gakijiwanong Anishinaabe Nation, and Gull Bay First Nation, also known as Kiashke Zaaging Anishinaabe. The July 15th MNR update also listed mandatory evacuations for Cat Lake, Saugeen First Nation, McDowell Lake, Fort Hope, also known as Ibamatong First Nation, and Mishki-Gagameng First Nation. That is a significantly larger list than what we had at the start of Wednesday. These are all separate communities facing the same crisis simultaneously. Communities on watch status prepare to evacuate at short notice include the Rainy River District, areas around Quetico, Crystal Lake, and Atikokan, as well as Pickle Lake, Uppsala, and the Highway 633 corridor. If you are in any of those watch status areas, you need to be ready to move. Medications, documents, identification, have them at the door. Now, here is a critical situation developing at the evacuation destination end of this crisis, and it did not get enough attention yesterday. Thunder Bay has been absorbing evacuees from Armstrong, White Sand First Nation, Collins First Nation, and others. But as of Wednesday, Gull Bay First Nation confirmed that there are no vacant hotel rooms remaining in Thunder Bay for their members. Reports indicate that evacuees from other communities were sleeping in their cars in Thunder Bay because there was no accommodation available. Gull Bay First Nation said it is now flying its community members to Toronto because there is simply nowhere left for them in Thunder Bay. This points to a serious gap in the emergency response capacity. NDP leader Merritt Stiles and MPP Sol Mamakwa, who represents the
You got 10 minutes.
Kiwatinung riding,
Or
have both
video,
raised
get
this
out.
publicly and called for more government coordination. Federal MP Patty Hajdu said the federal government is ready to support Ontario if this exceeds their capacity and they make a formal request. Late Wednesday afternoon, Premier Doug Ford posted a video saying fire crews are hard at work fighting more than 180 wildfires, but the accommodation crisis for evacuees remains unresolved. This is a developing situation and we will continue to track it. Now let's talk about the new emergency area order that came into effect at 12:01 this morning, Central Daylight Time, July 16th. The Ministry of Natural Resources has issued Emergency Area Order EAO 2026-09 for the Fort Frances 14 zone. This is a legal order, not just a warning or an alert. Travel on a long list of roads in this zone is prohibited without written authorization from the Thunder Bay Ignis District of the MNR. That includes Athelstane Road, Cashabowie Road, Upsala Road, Blind Bay Road, and a number of others listed in the order map. Access to Lac des Mille Lac, Cashabowie Lake, the Seine River, and surrounding Crown lands is also prohibited unless you have that MNR permit. For questions about this order, call the MNR at 807-475-1471. This order is separate from and on top of the evacuation alerts already in place for Fort Frances 14, 15, and 38. And there is a NOTAM, a notice to air missions, in effect over Fort Frances 14 as well. Civilian aircraft and drones within 5 nautical miles and below 3,000 feet above ground level are restricted from that airspace. Fire suppression aircraft only. Let's look at the specific fires of note, what's changed since yesterday in the fire data. In the Nipigon sector, 6 new fires were confirmed on July 15th. The largest is Nipigon 6136 hectares near Kellow Lake, not under control. Nipigon 59 came in at 9 hectares north of Highway 584. Nipigon 60 at 4.5 hectares, and Nipigon 57 and 58 near Fort Hope. The Fort Hope area is now seeing fire pressure from multiple directions. Remember from yesterday's briefing, Nipigon 45 and 46 had already merged into a 1,200 hectare fire just 10 kilometers southeast of Iba-Matong First Nation. That situation remains critical. In the Sioux Lookout sector, Sioux Lookout 97 was confirmed on a lake island at Pashkokogan Lake, small at 0.1 hectares, but every new fire in an already strained region adds pressure. The one positive note, Kenora 17, which was burning on an island in Lake of the Woods, has been called out as of the July 15th update. Fire crews are finding successes where conditions allow, but the overall scale of the situation remains severe.
Your time is valuable. You could finish your degree faster and for less with eligible transfer credits at University of Phoenix.
If this doesn't work for you, we promise a 10-fold refund immediately. Yes, you heard that right. A 90-day risk-free guarantee, or you get 10 times your money back.
Now, let's talk about the Northeast region, which is the part of this story that is actively getting worse. Yesterday, the Northeast had 37 fires, 5 uncontrolled. Today, that has grown to 44 fires with 9 uncontrolled, a meaningful step up. 8 new fires were confirmed on July 15th. The biggest is Wawa 1712 hectares, approximately 4 kilometers east of White Lake, not under control. Just 500 meters west of that same lake, Wawa 18 and Wawa 19 on the western shore of Loonskin Lake near Hawk Junction, also not under control. New fires have also been confirmed near Cochrane, Halliburton, North Bay, and Timmins. So the fire footprint in the Northeast is expanding geographically. With no meaningful precipitation forecast and fire danger conditions unchanged, the Northeast trend bears close watching over the next 24 to 48 hours. Now let's talk telecommunications, because this is an underreported part of the crisis affecting First Nations communities most severely. Kukena Network KNet, which provides broadband, landline, and cellular services to many remote First Nations, has confirmed outages at a significant number of communities. North Spirit Lake, Wanneman Lake, Kingfisher Lake, Mishki-Gogamang, Cat Lake, and Slate Falls are all reporting telecommunications outages. When you lose telecommunications in a remote fly-in community during an active wildfire emergency, you lose the ability to call for help, coordinate evacuation, or even know if an order has been issued. Anishinaabe Aski Nation NAN has also warned that power lines serving these communities are at risk from fire spread. A power failure in these communities is not an inconvenience. It is a health and safety emergency on top of the fire emergency already in progress. And NAN has specifically raised the issue of medical transport being disrupted. Community members who require dialysis and other essential treatments cannot get to appointments because the roads are closed. This is a multi-layered crisis, and the people facing the most severe layers are those least visible in the public conversation. All right, Rhodes, the highway closure picture since yesterday's briefing. Highway 527 between Gull Bay First Nation and Armstrong remains closed. Highway 599 between Highway 516 and Mishki-Gogamang First Nation remains closed. Highway 11 between Highway 633 and Highway 623 east of Otakokan still closed. Additionally, as of this morning, the emergency area order for Fort Francis 14 adds legal travel prohibitions on top of the closures already in place. These are not suggestions. If you drive through a closed road and require emergency assistance, you are pulling resources away from people who are already in crisis. Check 511 on .ca before you travel, and check it the morning of your trip, not the night before. Wabakimi Provincial Park also remains closed entirely because of extreme wildfire conditions. Now let's talk about the air quality and heat situation, because this is where the story directly touches Southern Ontario today. Yesterday, we told you that Toronto was ranking at the top of global air quality indexes for major cities. That situation persisted through Wednesday and is continuing into Thursday. Wildfire smoke has traveled more than 1,000 kilometers from the fire zones, carried south and east by a strong jet stream. Environment Canada's air quality warnings remain in effect across Southern Ontario, the GTA, the Ottawa Valley, Kingston, and much of southwestern Ontario. The smoke is also continuing to push into Quebec, Michigan, and parts of the northeastern United States. For Toronto specifically today, expect hazy skies with a possible orange tint, reduced visibility, and the smell of smoke. This is not fog, it is wildfire particulate. Environment Canada notes conditions may begin to improve by Friday if wind patterns shift, but that is not confirmed. If you have a respiratory condition, cardiovascular disease, or are elderly or caring for young children, stay indoors today with windows closed. If you need to go outside, a properly fitted N95 respirator provides meaningful protection. A cloth mask does not. Monitor your air quality in real time at firesmoke.ca. It is updated continuously and will tell you what the conditions are in your specific location. On the heat side, there is a meaningful update here compared to yesterday. Yesterday, we were telling you about Armstrong hitting 40.7 degrees, an all-time record for that community, and the hottest temperature in Ontario in 90 years. Toronto hit 37.6 degrees on July 15th, surpassing the previous record for that date of 35.6 degrees set in 1995. Today, a cold front has pushed into southern Ontario, and temperatures in Toronto and the GTA should drop to around 30 degrees, a real break from yesterday. Humidex in the GTA should fall to the low to mid 30s, still warm, but significantly more manageable. Southwestern Ontario, Windsor, and London may still see Humidex values in the mid 40s through the afternoon before they ease off. By the weekend, most of southern Ontario should be back in the mid to upper 20s, a genuine return to more comfortable conditions. But here is the critical point. That cold front brings relief to southern Ontario. Northwestern Ontario, where most of the fires are burning, does not get that same relief today. The fire zones remain hot, dry, and under continued fire danger at extreme levels in the Thunder Bay, Dryden, Fort Francis, and Kenora sectors. No meaningful precipitation is forecast for the fire zones in the short term. The ministry's own update language is direct. Fire danger is expected to remain elevated, and fire activity is expected to persist into the foreseeable future. Looking slightly further out, weather models suggest a ridge of high pressure could rebuild heading into the latter part of July. If that happens, it could push heat back into Ontario before the end of the month. That is not certain, but it is in the models. Environment and Climate Change Canada's seasonal outlook continues to call for above average temperatures across Ontario through July and August, with dry conditions specifically flagged for northwestern Ontario. That is the larger context here. This is not just a bad week. The conditions that are fueling this crisis are expected to persist through the summer. On the response side, Ontario Natural Resources Minister Mike Harris confirmed that several hundred highly trained Ontario wildland firefighters are now deployed, supported by nearly 40 aircraft, including helicopters and water bombers. For Fort Francis 14 alone, the province has deployed 13 fire ranger crews, 10 type, 2 firefighting crews, and 12 helicopters to suppression operations. The Provincial Emergency Operations Centre is coordinating with the Ministry of Natural Resources, Indigenous Services Canada, and municipalities. The federal government has indicated it is ready to provide additional support if formally requested. That request has not yet been made as of this morning's information. With 26 new fires confirmed on July 14th alone, firefighting resources are being stretched across a vast geographic area. The ministry has been clear that suppression priority goes to fires where efforts are most likely to protect lives and communities. This situation has escalated significantly from even 24 hours ago. We went from evacuations to confirmed community destruction overnight. We will be back tomorrow with a full update. If the situation changes significantly today, we will post an update.
Okay, that's my first video on the update with the fires. I thought that would be an important one to get out first. And News Force lady just got another video out, so I got 55 plus another 5-minute one she just came out with another hour one, but save those two for later. Well, after the one we're going to play after the first hour. But I got 2 short ones I want to play. Then I got some photos here. What I got? Did anybody look at the documents of the D class? Maria. KK's not in yet. Oh. Ah. Why is this doing this? So, my state was rigged. Florida was rigged, Flying Eagle. I don't see Texas on there. I don't see Pennsylvania on there. But it says 18 states. So you're up by where near where Flying Eagle is, huh, Maria? All right, I got a sinkhole I'm going to share here out of Texas. Oh, wait. I got a calm 1-star fire for you. See if you know anything on this one. I wonder what they're looking at there.
Our main risk tonight and overnight to the early morning hours. There will be an ongoing risk of some tornadoes. 59 counties are in flood watch. So far, there have been 2 reported deaths because of the flooding. One is a male near Comfort who was swept away in an RV. Another is in Uvalde, who was swept away while driving on a road. Cities that have been listed as most at risk for the next 24 hours would be Uvalde and Johnson City. We continue to deploy more personnel than what we talked about yesterday. Now approximately 2,350 state emergency responders, including Texas Task Force teams with support from game wardens, troopers, and out-of-state resources, are deployed. We've also deployed more than 1,400 different types of vehicles, different pieces of equipment, including swiftwater rescue boats, ambulance strike teams, Black Hawk helicopters, and high-profile vehicles. For the next 24 hours, if you see water on a roadway, know that it's a potential life-threatening hazard that should be avoided. Once again, life-threatening catastrophic flooding.
Okay, out of Texas. So what does this mean? Anybody know on this?
111. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 211. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
So we got the next three will be Benny videos. I got one Nick video. Okay, let's get this one first. Chico.
Amendment. Vote Andrew Beeler for State
it.
Senate.
This German steel trimmer blade replaces every nylon spool on the market and never breaks on contact with rocks, roots, or fence posts. Every nylon trimmer head has the same fundamental flaw.
President Trump just changed the electoral landscape forever with a fraud firestorm bombshell live address from the White House that broke the entire internet, but was banned on corporate TV. ABC, NBC, and CNN refused to cover it. In this bombshell, President Trump made a number of shocking, hard evidenced claims because he released the actual CIA evidence on the way that elections are stolen in our country and how foreign nations can steal our country and how insecure electronic voting actually is, how much we need the SAVE Act. Trump says that the FBI reported that China attempted to manufacture fake ballots for Joe Biden in 2020. President Trump releases bombshell. China attempting to manufacture fake ballots. Chinese government production of export fraudulent U.S. driver's license to Chinese sympathizers in the United States in order to create tens of thousands of fraudulent mail-in votes for presidential candidate Joe Biden in 2020. And they hid this evidence from the American people. They hid it from you. And there it is. China used CCP assets in U.S. media and social media to incite the BLM uprising. They said that Iran did this as well. I'll show you the documents. Ahead of the 2020 presidential election, China had an extensive plans to utilize potential cyber operations to sway American public opinion against Donald Trump, alleging that white people hate black people, inciting demonstrations and marches against racial divisions, increasing the level of conflict between police and anti-racist activists, feeding any sense that U.S. law enforcement resents people of color. Look at that. So all of the libtards, every person that shared a BLM black square, you are a Chinese asset. you are also probably an Iranian asset, as has been declassified here. Foreign threats to the U.S. election. It goes through how Russia, Iran, and China are all trying to rig the election. China was trying to rig the election against Donald Trump, and so was Iran. Okay? So Iran didn't want Trump to win. China didn't want Trump to win. Here we go. What was Iran doing? So Iran was trying to attack Donald Trump using civil unrest, domestic protests, racial justice, mail-in voting, and the administration's handling of COVID pandemic. The Supreme Leader actually authorized this. So if you were sharing libtard memes, masking memes, BLM memes, social justice memes, you were doing the will of the jihadist, Iranian, bloodthirsty, death to America crowd. Good job. Great job, everyone. Or the Chicoms. Incredible. It's all now available on whitehouse.gov election integrity website. Election integrity here. So there are a ton of documents that they just released. There are thousands of documents actually that just released. So we're just getting like the little bits and pieces of them rolling in right now. Let's just take the top line here from the president's team. Declassified documents show that in the 2020 cycle, China carried out the largest compromise of election data in history. They took effectively the voter files of every American. Names, addresses, phone numbers, political party preferences, sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote, engage in nefarious activities. Evil. Even when significant evidence of fraud had been detected and buried and covered up, among the disclosures tonight, the FBI files detailing evidence of massive fraud operation in Michigan. They kicked in the door of and then the FBI completely covered up. FBI agents working on the case believe that crimes were committed, but Joe Biden slow-walked the investigation for years. Kash Patel has got to get it done. They said they're not going to cover the speech, Donald Trump says. They don't like the topic, how corrupt our system is. We got to pull their broadcast licenses. Wild. So here we go. Put it together. These disclosures reveal that an election system is broken and vulnerable.
These disclosures reveal an election system so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible. Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption. China and other countries have been trying to meddle in our elections. Evidence of fraud has been buried. Hundreds of thousands of non-citizens and dead people are listed and active on the voter rolls. And yet we still have elections with no voter ID, no proof of citizenship, and tens of millions of ballots floating aimlessly through the mail.
If I die tomorrow, my family inherits $2.5 million. Not debt, not a mortgage, actual.
He's pissed. You can see it here too, by the way. So some of the files that we've downloaded, summary of the intelligence reporting for Venezuela's electronic manipulation capabilities. Oh, I thought this was safe and secure, and that was the safest and most secure election ever. Turns out that's not true. They were lying to us the whole time. Here's directly from the CIA that Venezuela, Smartmatic was used to manipulate election results using pre-programmed voting machines. These machines were deployed in 300 voting centers. This is talking about Venezuela's election. Traditionally pro-Chavez areas to ensure the voting machine was he won by approximately 1.5 million votes. He ended up winning by 1.6 million votes. So they plugged in the algorithm into the machines. The machines created fake ballots, fake votes, and he was able to win. And they assess, the intelligence community, that the Venezuelan government manipulation of electronic voting systems and potential national security implications for U.S. elections and infrastructure. The intelligence community established that the Venezuelan government officials developed sustained interest in likely capability of manipulating electronic voting systems, including Smartmatic technology. There it is. Insane. And that this could, at scale, this could rig elections in the United States. That's what this says. We have it now. We have the documents. No one can call us election deniers. We have the documents. Beijing's effort to shape U.S. policies in China. This goes through how Beijing is hoovering up all this evidence in order to blackmail American politicians and administration officials. So it's like the full Eric Swalwell. Vulnerabilities of U.S. elections and infrastructure. Again, this is saying that Russia and China and Iran are trying to hack our elections, and that they can hack our elections because of, look, they're playing Doom on a voting machine because everything is connected to the internet. It's all electronic. And that this could, they don't have proof of it, but they could rig our elections through electronic voting machines. We need to get rid of these machines. And then DHS released these numbers. Insane numbers. 250,000 non-citizens are eligible or registered to vote. Of course, they're not eligible. They're illegally here. And they are illegally voting in our election. Georgia, Ohio, Tennessee, Texas. Deceased and non-citizen voters. Even in Republican states, you have thousands of non-citizens voting. Or at least registered. Thousands. President Trump just like going ballistic on all of this. Amazing. 250,000 non-citizens illegally registered in just 4 states. Insane. I can't believe the documents that I can't believe it's real. It's finally out
confidence
there.
By confronting vulnerabilities and correcting them very, very quickly. And that's what we're doing. The documents cover 5 major areas of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files. That information includes names, addresses, phone numbers, political party preferences, and other sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote and engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening. This data loss presents an unprecedented election security nightmare. The intelligence even shows that China assigned a data exploitation unit specifically to this new project. Compounding the travesty, the second set of documents we are releasing reveals that members of the deep state, very, very famous group of people, in many cases, in our intelligence agency work to actively suppress and downplay information about the extent of China's sinister election meddling, covering it up from both the president and the American people like nobody thought was possible. U.S. spy agencies began learning about the compromise of voter registration files in 2020 when they discovered that tens of millions of voter data, think of that, tens of millions of voters' data in 18 states have been bought, stolen, or hacked by China. Yet those responsible for sounding the alarm instead kept the information secret and hidden. They did not disclose to me as president or to anyone else, and to the best of our knowledge, they did not inform Congress. In fact, all they kept saying is, this is the most secure election in the history of our country.
The FBI claiming to run a shadow government. Crazy. The big picture is this. We don't have secure elections. That our foreign enemies can hack our elections and do so very easily through birthright citizenship, through electronic voting, through shipping in fake driver's licenses, through BLM and left-wing organizations. And so we have to fix it. That's the main takeaway from all of this. Join us in fixing it. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like a dog with a bone, man. This is the issue of our time. The Western civilization will ebb, fall, fail, or will be renewed if we can fix this issue and make sure only Americans vote in our elections. I can't believe it's come to this, but here it is. This is our fight. Join the channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, the first one. I'm going to do our lady from TikTok. She has her YouTube channel. She has a 10-minute one on Lucy, Senator Fetterman, Pennsylvania. I got 2 short clips, a 10 and a 5. Gonna come back and do the second penny, and then we'll save the third one for later. So we got our news sports lady. I have to find it. Where is it? Dang it. Here it is. This one's 10 minutes.
Go, shoot it, shoot it, shoot it!
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine being inside a synagogue praying when suddenly thousands of people are outside screaming for your elimination. And no, folks, this isn't 1930s Berlin. It's Zohran Mamdani's New York City. They aren't even hiding the agenda anymore. They're broadcasting it in the middle of Times Square loud and clear.
We're done hiding. We're done. We're done being tortured and hurt and judged. This is the correct religion. This is the religion that all of humanity needs to be upon, of Islam. And we will not stop until it enters every home.
It's a bold promise for a Friday, isn't it? And frankly, why would they stop? They've already successfully taken over entire neighborhoods without firing a single shot. They just showed up, took over Times Square, and everyone else just let them. Take a look at Ilhan Omar's district in Michigan. I mean, look at this. Hard to believe this is still America, folks. And if you're looking for an American flag in this crowd, good luck. This has become a high-stakes game of Where's Waldo, except Waldo actually exists and the flag has been canceled. We have reached the point where Old Glory is considered controversial by the very people who claim to love inclusivity. And you know what else is being controversial now? Being Jewish. The party that spends all day lecturing us about diversity and inclusivity has apparently developed a blind spot. If you're a person of Jewish faith, you're not part of the club anymore. They don't want your diversity. They want your silence. Look at Democratic State Senator Scott Wiener out in San Francisco, for example. He's gay. He's as radical as they come, but he's Jewish. And for that sin, he was surrounded, harassed, and physically chased out of a trans march by protesters. They were pretty much screaming about his Israeli handlers. They didn't care about his politics or his track record. The second they realized he didn't fit their litmus test on Israel, the gloves came off. Then you've got Congressman Dan Goldman, who just got absolutely shellacked in his primary by a candidate who leans heavily into the anti-Israel camp. The left has gone so far off the cliff that Goldman was actually discriminated against in a local coffee shop. After the owner learned of his visit, he refunded his money and posted a photo of the congressman saying he will not serve genocidal enablers. Imagine being a sitting member of Congress and getting kicked out of a business because the owner decides you're a genocidal enabler. Unbelievable. I mean, this is happening in San Francisco, the supposed capital of tolerance. They'll chase you, harass you, and drag your name through the mud if you don't bow to the new orthodoxy. And have you ever noticed you never see a group of conservatives harassing people out of events for their religious faith or their personal background? It's always on the left. So why does this matter? Because even John Fetterman has finally hit his limit. He just drew a massive red line in the sand regarding his future in the Democrat Party. Here's what he said the other day. Take a listen.
And I've described that if our party ever becomes, and just make it official as the anti-Israel party, that's when I would leave, because that's been a moral clarity for me.
As if Fetterman didn't already have a packed suitcase, the radical left just gave him a one-way ticket to the exits. Half of the House Democrats just voted to pull the plug on aid to Israel. The party that's been preaching Trump is alienating our allies just told Israel, you're on your own.
Believed that the Democratic Party is going to become more anti-Israel. I mean, as long as we continue to do that, you make that official. You make that part of our platform. That's my red line in the Democratic Party.
He went on to say he might have to change his party affiliation. I say, come on over, John. We've got a seat for you. This is a guy who actually believes in a secure border, wants to deport criminals, and thinks we should be neutralizing threats like Iran, not empowering them. But the anti-Israel rot isn't the only thing he's running from. Have you seen what Governor Tim Walz just did? He pardoned a guy who raped his own niece repeatedly. And according to Walz, that was just a bad day.
I guess the question I would ask is did that make us any safer? Did that make the children that are left behind any more stable? Did it improve the idea that we can't all be judged by our worst day? And I want to be very clear, these are horrific crimes.
Let's be clear. A bad day is when you get to the office, realize you left your phone in the car, and have to trudge all the way back to your car in the rain. That's a bad day. Raping your niece for 3 years? That's not a bad day. That's a moral vacuum. But do you see the pattern here? They're conditioning you. They want you to stop judging criminals so you'll eventually just shrug your shoulders when they empty the prisons, defund the police, and torch the rule of law. They don't just want to reform justice. They want to dismantle the whole entire thing.
ICE needs to be abolished. ICE is not about law enforcement. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force on our streets. And the faster we understand that ICE sits in contraposition to the Constitution itself, the faster we actually get about to being smart about the way that we do immigration. ICE is not that. ICE needs to be abolished.
They want to put Trump behind bars, but they're lining up to give pedophiles and murderers a get-out-of-jail-free card. They've completely abandoned their moral compass. I mean, they're basically telling the world, you can be a card-carrying Nazi just as long as you pull the lever for the Democrat ticket. You're welcome in the tent.
I've said this before. I don't really care if, say, like, Bernie Sanders or AOC go home and they're a secret Nazi, but they go out and they vote for the right things. Like, we're talking about
you don't
politicians care? As I mean, for the,
I don't know about that. I'm like, that's a. I think these are the lines that people are talking about. Some people care about that exact thing.
Well, I certainly hope a lot of people do care. I mean, how do we end up in a place where a faction of a major American party is literally negotiating with potential Nazis just to keep their power?
Yeah.
It's not just unhinged. It's dangerous. They don't want a presidency, a Senate, or a Supreme Court to keep the peace. They want anarchy. And if you own a home or run a business, you're the target.
Our city is turning the corner on tenant power. When we organize, we win results. The Mamdani administration is emboldening us so that we no longer tolerate the violence of evictions as a matter of business as usual.
This clip cracks me up. I mean, you have Mamdani on the verge of laughing while his mask-wearing activist treats landlords like the enemy. It's like he knows how ridiculous this whole thing sounds. The mayor also thinks we should ban landlords for asking for proof of income. No income, no credit, no problem. Pretty sure that's how the housing crisis started. He's also launching Parents' Night Out, government-funded babysitters for your kids. That's right. He thinks you should pay for other people's children to be watched while they go catch a movie or have a date night. Crazy, right? Well, Pete Buttigieg thinks crazy is exactly what we need.
In order to get anywhere, even as an ideological moderate, you have to be ready for radical change in our institutions.
Oh, now Pete is flirting with communism. I mean, we know he has aspirations to occupy the Oval Office, so somebody might want to tell him that his party wants to abolish the presidency. Meanwhile, over in Michigan, Abdul El Sayed, the Muslim candidate for Senate, wants to not only defund the police and abolish ICE, but also force universal health care down your throats. According to AOC, if you're not down with all that, you're racist.
If it doesn't work for you, we promise 10 times your money back. This product works in just 1 second to fit perfectly and is suitable for everyone. Simply soak it in hot water to activate the elastic material and have your new dentures.
We promised. I don't think people have really made the forceful case outside of his identity, to be honest with you. And I don't accept that. I don't accept
being Muslim.
Yeah. You know, I think, like, keep it to the issues.
You mean wanting ICE to actually deport criminals or not wanting to wait 6 hours in an emergency room because the system is broken? Those concerns make me racist? No. Prioritizing my family's safety isn't racism. It's common sense. But apparently if you're a law-abiding taxpayer, you're the problem. Whereas if you're a felon on Rikers Island, well, suddenly you're a New Yorker in need of a little magical soccer party.
I hope that this shares with people who are incarcerated here on Rikers that they too are a part of New York City. The World Cup has been a magical moment for the entire city. these are New Yorkers, and they will be New Yorkers when they get out of Rikers. They're New Yorkers today, and I wanted to make sure that we can celebrate this moment together.
Can you believe this? New York City's mayor is out there throwing a catered World Cup watch party for inmates. We're talking penne alla vodka, chicken parmesan, seared salmon. You've got hardworking families in the city who can barely afford a decent dinner, and Memdani is playing host to the criminal element like it's a Sunday barbecue?
So we got the, privilege of drinking stuff, eating food that we don't really get has, and same like with me, I've been locked up 21 months. So it's been a long time since I had real food like that.
Best he's eaten since he's been locked up. I bet. Look, I'm not saying people in jail don't deserve a meal, but I think our veterans and our homeless population should maybe be at the front of that line, not the folks who landed themselves behind bars. But that would be America first. And in this administration, it's clearly criminals first. For those who don't know, Rikers is an island. It's isolated. It's surrounded by water. And I think it's the perfect place for Memdani. Him and his socialist friends should just all go there and stay there and do their little socialist experiment and keep it confined to that small island. Don't let it impact the rest of America. I mean, look at this guy. He's all smiles. Most politicians surround themselves with blue-collar workers or families. This guy, he's in his element with the prison population. Now, rumor has it, these inmates earn themselves a little reward for good behavior. So gourmet meals, soccer watch party. Yeah, because apparently doing what you're supposed to do in jail now comes with game day perks. Clearly the goal here is to make prison feel less like punishment and more like just another neighborhood hangout. Dress the inmates up like regular New Yorkers, feed them gourmet meals, put the game on TV, and suddenly the consequences of crime don't seem all that consequential anymore, do they? That's a dangerous message. All right, we're going to leave it there for now. I do have another video coming out shortly.
Okay, that was an important one there. Doesn't have a long one that much. Lucy, Senator, what's up? Thing there. I got another short one from Texas. Okay, I did one earlier. A short one. I don't know if this is by you or not. This was 3 days ago, or 2 days ago. Okay, we'll get to the second Benny video. And then we'll do the news force. Okay.
States and practicing with them, entering the systems. The U.S. government knows quite a bit about this, and they didn't want to report. And look, there are people in jail in the United States that have confessed. You have Hugo Carbajal, the chief of the DHSIM, the Directorate General of Counterintelligence Military in New York. You think they're debriefing him? Would you do, Benny, if you were the chief of the CIA or the chief of the FBI or the chief of any of these things, would you go and wouldn't you want to debrief the chief of a foreign hostile intelligence service if he's in a jail that you control? Would you go there and do that? They didn't for 3 years. There are some people in there talking to him now, I believe. But I literally had to do a video to say, Mr. President, there's a man there. Please move him to Quantico. Please put him down there so they don't kill him in jail. Have they moved him? No. I know these sound like serious accusations, but this is the most deadly, serious threat to our country, our electoral system. And this has been going on since at least with significant capacity since 2010.
So, Gary, what you've just laid out here is the largest espionage cartel crime in human history.
Let me say something else.
Please.
3 years ago, an American ambassador by the name of Manuel Rocha was arrested, right? Manuel Rocha had been ambassador in Bolivia. Manuel Rocha had been the political counselor at Southcom, sitting next to General Hill, reading every intelligence report, everything. My business partner and I are the ones that turned him in. We did. We found him.
What's Bella doing today, Kay?
We flew to Puerto Rico, sat with 2 FBI counterintelligence officers, hammered this out with them, and then that U.S. attorney there very bravely sent the message to Miami. They targeted Rocha, and Rocha's in jail. They got him in meetings. They had an FBI officer posed to be a Cuban intelligence officer, and he confessed under 6 hours of working for the Cubans. That was done by 2 civilians. Okay? Retired. You know, I'm retired. I'm 68, you know?
So let me run this back just so that we can get the architecture of this. Nicolas Maduro creates election theft technology.
Hugo Chavez does.
And Hugo Chavez does. Maduro inherits it. The Venezuelan cartel creates, the communist Venezuelan cartel creates the technology to steal elections. They start stealing elections. The Chinese make a large investment, a material investment in that, and start creating the hardware. This all gets laundered through into American elections, and therefore our elections can be stolen by a cartel abroad of communists.
Yes. Something else that was interesting.
And our elections are stolen. Just fine point here.
70 countries around the world.
Our elections are stolen along with other countries' elections through this technology that can be manipulated by manipulating simply the tallies at the end. It's just algorithmic.
What they do
is it the how would an election be stolen in Cook County, for instance?
There are 14 different techniques within the hardware where they can go at the tabulator, they go at the scanners, they go at. So what they have done, what they have in Venezuela is, just imagine this. Imagine 150 CNE, Consejo National Electoral, government engineers, and 150 Smartmatic engineers working together. And they have engineers, and they have statisticians, and they have comms engineers. And it's the science of elections theft. So you want to do 2 things. You want to figure out how to steal an election, 1, and how to defeat audit, 2. So let me give you an example. On absentee ballots come in, they put them on a scanner. Scanner takes a picture. Then they put another one on, takes a picture. It does like 100 of them. And then when it's got 100 pictures, it's ready to save them all. That picture of those 100 votes disappears. One comes in from Serbia, and they're all voting for one candidate, possibly Joe Biden. And then that is saved on the machine. In many states, you're not allowed to look at the physical ballot in the box. You must do the audit on the machine. Benny, these people actually own a number of the audit companies that come in to do the audit. They bought and own the paper companies. Some of the ways they do it also is, just imagine you have a piece of paper, right, like 8 by 11, and the margin is, say, 1 inch on either side. Well, if you change that by 1/4 of an inch, it forces the machine to trip after about 50 or 100 of these things you run through. Then a Smartmatic employee comes over, or Dominion Tech, puts a thumb drive in the machine to fix the problem, and now it's loaded for theft. They had at least 14 ways on the machine, and you can use number 1 and number 3, number 1 and number 9, 6 and 8, and you never use the same technique in contiguous counties. Also, if you look at a state like Colorado, you have a state that is red through most of it, and it has blue, right, in Colorado Springs and Denver. They don't steal the election in Colorado Springs or Denver. They shave all those other counties. So instead of a conservative winning 70-30, they win 68-32. And they take points every place, and they have designed this 1 year in advance. This is the greatest grift in the history of the United States, these machines. And it was a evil attack on our democracy. And we have briefed this to a lot of people. A lot of people were afraid. They ran away from us. We've just continued on. And we brought witnesses, and they've testified in front of members of the Department of Justice. We actually tried to assemble the group of them together and get the DNI to give us a contract to do additional. And the DNI gave a contract to their friends, not to the people that we assembled that could have done it. I will say this, one politician in America that was very, very brave, that stood with us, Mark Wayne Mullen.
Correct.
Mark Wayne Mullen. Guy's a man.
Yes.
He was not afraid. And this is, when he was a senator, he saw it. He took us to people. He was a real hero about this. So I'm so grateful to him.
So, I mean, this is just kind of, Gary, it's just kind of hard to process all of this.
I know it's very difficult.
And we started the show off by saying Nicolas Maduro would be the key to everything, and that the black bagging of Nicolas Maduro.
You were correct. I was listening to you.
Had a much more profound and important piece in all of this. And while I don't have the full architect constellation, I have had conversations with Elon Musk about this and Mark Wayne Mullen about this, and some of them have been on the show to talk. Some, there's some gaps, and you're filling in a lot of the gaps. So it's really remarkable to see. Okay, so dig down on one or two things. One, the intelligence community. You're saying that the American intelligence community allowed for this to happen. Can you unpack that?
We have probably the most problematic counterintelligence environment in our history. The Cuban intelligence service, using Venezuelan resources, have probably recruited more penetrations of the IC than in any time since the founding of the agency in the late 1940s and the passing of the National Security Act of 1947. Look, the Cubans have a history, right? They recruited Ana Montes, who was at DIA, the head of the Latin American desk for Cuba and Venezuela. They recruited Kendall Meyer at the State Department, who was the chief of intelligence and research for 30 damn years, was their asset. He was arrested 10 years ago, right? The Russians had gotten Hansen, they got Aldrich James, but I'm telling you that, and that was a shock for us, right? When Aldrich James and Hansen were arrested in that period, it was devastating because we lost a lot of sources. The Cubans, and using Venezuelan resources, have done 10 times that damage. We have more people walking around who have been in senior positions and have been on the payroll of our adversaries than at any time in our history. Look, I came into the agency, into the career service trainee program in 1982. I served abroad in the Middle East and learned Persian, worked against Iran, was a chief against Hezbollah, did a lot of things, but I was selected for very, very large jobs like bombings. Like I led the response to the East Africa bombings and captured those guys. When they needed to invade Afghanistan, we sent 4 teams in. I had the biggest piece of the invasion. I seized Kabul. I was the architect of the battle in Tora Bora that fought and killed most of those Al-Qaeda guys. I didn't fall off an onion truck on the way to this. And then I worked in Latin America as a chief of station doing counter-narcotic programs after the Afghan conflict because I wanted something different. I got another language, got Spanish, and went down there and did that, and then I left. But we have a terrible problem, counterintelligence problem. And something happened in the United States after the Cold War. We all joined the national security apparatus. I did in the 1980s because, the United States had a population of about 200 million. The Russians were 300 million. Their armed forces was larger. I studied Russian in college. After the Air Force, I went through the PLC program in the Marine Corps to be an infantry officer. and was a skydiver, and I was recruited by an agency recruiter and didn't take that commission and went to the agency instead. So I was a case officer and a paramilitary officer. The level of commitment to the Constitution was a little different there because we had an existential threat from the Russians. The world has changed. People don't see the world the same way, and people are selling out. There are a lot of people that have sold out. Just so you know, Manuel Rocha, who was arrested as a spy, was recruited in the 70s. He was seeded into the State Department. They recruited him in Chile 10 years before and seeded him in, worked him up till he was an ambassador. They do long-term intelligence operations. I have said to a lot of people that, my vision of the future is that we need to build a new intelligence service, a smaller one like a OSS or a DSS, Directorate of Strategic Services, and a very large CI service like MI5. There are very good people, fine people. There's guys like Sam Faddis, John McGuire. Bring them back. Let them run it. There's some really great people out there that have 30 or 40 years of experience and understand this business. Not everybody can do this, just because you're smart. Look, we have been defeated by these people for the last 20 years.
Okay, so zooming in a little bit and coming in on the question of
stuff, yeah.
of that the intelligence, that our intelligence services allowed for this to happen, allowed for this penetration of software and hardware created and written by our enemies in order to run American elections.
Why
and they didn't stop it.
Why didn't they tell the president 2020? The 2020 election was stolen. Clearly, we have it. We have the whole thing. We've briefed this. We've showed them how they've done it. We've showed them how they entered into the system. We already showed them how it was done. And how come they didn't warn the president that these capabilities existed? When the president was screaming that the election was stolen, he was correct. Why did the IC stand and say nothing? It's like COVID. They knew.
Yes.
They knew.
They created.
Shame on them.
Yes.
Shame on them.
So what will the president say tonight? Well, is this what the president's going to say tonight? Is this the architecture?
I think that the president, well, you have to remember something, that I think he will focus on China because China came in with massive resources and they're a gigantic enemy. I don't know how much he'll say about the Venezuela stuff because you got to remember there's prosecutions going on.
Well, yeah.
There are legal cases down south, right? The president of Smartmatic, Roger Piñate, is in jail down in Miami because of a bribery case in the Philippines. But it wasn't bribed to get the contract. It was bribed to get a response. Now, they've had their superseding indictments that have come onto that case because we brought witnesses that have been introduced there. But the witnesses are there.
Okay. I hope I didn't replay that. I don't know how many saw that one. We got the big first video. First hour one is Wendy, and the second one, the two I'm playing. One is Captain Kyle and John Downey. Thanks, Mario.
Well, we're getting there anyways, guys, right? We're working through the masses to get them on our conscious level. Understanding the truth is the first thing. And of course, these dumbs that we're looking at right here are a part of that truth that they've been lying to us about. I hope everybody's having themselves a good morning. It's been a rumbly, bumbly morning here. Yesterday and today, the last couple of days around the world have had some really positive things going on down in these dumbs. A lot of 10 KMs, guys. If you just want to spend some time afterwards going through and dropping in on some circles there and seeing more 10 KMs, you definitely can find them. That's for sure. Very solidly active with 10 KMs. I remember like 3 years ago, I would go on, and it was darn tough to find 10 cams. I would have to search and search and search. And it doesn't seem that way anymore. And that's a very positive thing, because we all know that the 10 cam DUMS, that system of DUMS, is the main structural system of all of the DUMS, whether they're if they're an 8 km, then they're what we call veins off of the main tunnels. Okay, anything other than a 10 km is considered a vein. All right, another way that I put it, if you're not sure about DUMS, is that think of it like a crab. Okay, in the center of the crab is the 10 km system, and then the legs off of it are the rest of the structural pattern. Or think about New York City, and their underground system. They have the main, and then they have all of the veins off of those tunnels like that. Guys, holy, I don't know where to start yet. How about we start front to back? We come from, we'll go past to future or present, taking a look at it. Who knows at this point? It could be future, right? Oh, 3D, 4D, 5D. That is what we talk about all of the time. And what's going on there is the war, and the war rages on. Let's jump over to the maps. We're going directly to Myanmar. Let's head over there. And I wanted to talk about Myanmar for a second, and let you guys know there's been a war raging, and it's sort of a civil war. It's the people against the deep state cabal. It's been going on since 1989, and we call it Burma, or you can call it Myanmar. And the difference between the two is the cabal versus the people, kind of like us being the United States of America is the cabal system. And then whatever we're going to end up naming ourselves rightfully by our choosing, as soon as this war is done and we can all vote on a name. That is respectively the way I understood that it's going to go. All right, let's go to the maps. All right, we're jumping right in here. All right, we're going to hit Mexico first because there is a tsunami warning. I think there has been for about 45 minutes. So I'm going to guess that's maybe beginning to expire. Let's just go ahead and get a report quick about that tsunami warning before we close in on those DUMS.
This AI playback is powered by Krone. A powerful seismic event has just been recorded off the coast of Mexico's southern state of Chiapas.
Right. According to Sophie Clark, a magnitude 7.3 earthquake struck near Puerto Madero. It was quite shallow, at a depth of only 10 kilometers, which explains why it was felt across international borders in Guatemala and El Salvador.
That is a significant tremor for that region. Has there been any word on the risk of coastal flooding or sea level changes?
The U.S. Tsunami Warning System did issue an alert. They are projecting potential waves between 0.3 and 1 meter above tide levels for the Mexican and Guatemalan coastlines. Local mayors in border towns like Suchiate are actively monitoring the situation.
What are we hearing regarding immediate damage or casualties in the affected cities?
Okay, so far the reports are cautiously optimistic. The governor of Oaxaca noted that while the intensity was moderate, no major damage has surfaced yet. In Tapachula, people managed to evacuate buildings in an orderly fashion once the shaking intensified. It seems the primary focus now is on safety protocols and monitoring those coastal threats.
We will keep a close watch on the official channels for any updates.
Thank you. And that's from the Independent. Thank you, Independent, for that report. We appreciate that. Okay, so let's just go right into the DUMS here. All right, here is Los Estados Unidos, the United States here. I'm sure everybody's familiar, but you just never know, right? There are people that maybe, grew up in a jungle or something and are just learning and are seeing for the first time our realm, from above. And anyways, so all right, guys, so he's talking about the 7.4, and it went off this morning And you can hear the tsunami warnings very light, and I don't even know why they placed it, because take a look, guys. It's so silly what they're doing. They really are the deep state, the Mockingbird media. They're taking advantage of this in order to create fear. And I say that because if you take a look at this, okay, the depth, they're calling it shallow. I'm calling it very deep. In fact, I'm trying to circle this here, guys. Forgive me here. All right. In fact, so it was 18.6 km. At a 10 km, a 7.4 is really going to rock things apart, right? We know that it's a pretty strong slammer jammer. All right. At 18.6, it's just about double the depth. So take that 7.4 and drop it down. Now I'm going to go on the high end of things, okay, just to give the benefit of the doubt, and drop that down to probably maybe a 4.3 right in through there. Now take it being off the coast, okay, let's go ahead back to the maps here. All right. And let's take a look at how far off the coast it is. All right, guys, take a look at that, okay? So logic would tell them that a tsunami warning, we would never ever place maybe on a 4.3. And that's going high for this. So really, there was no cause for alarm and for them to tsunami it out and all that kind of stuff. You heard the depth of a tsunami. It's, a speed bump. So kind of goofy, huh, guys? But it's a good conglomeration that they're working on. And as you can see, it is, of course, hugging that shelf area there. Move my palette away so I can see here. And you can see it's a pretty good conglomeration that began about 2 hours ago. I did not find any 10 kms in it, but I did not look completely through all of them. So I'm just going to put this in here. As not, there we go. So that's kind of what creates a ghost report, what you just saw me do, that you did not feel it. It'll mark that they asked you. Of course, they asked me because I'm in Arizona. So they're looking for people to report it. It really gives us an idea of what I call a spray. And the people who report on it, that's all those tiny squares popping up that you see all over the place. This is people reporting like you saw me do. So please, if you're ever on and you feel some tremors or whatever, get on and go ahead and report it. I call it the spray because it's kind of like a buckshot. It lets me know what direction the direct energy weapon came in from in order to blow that dumb up. So you can see by the spray, it's just about even on. Okay. We can't really see this side for reports because it's out in the ocean, but you can see that there are some here, and it's very hot and heavy here with them. Let's just grab a couple of those reports here. And we're going to grab the red ones, the strongest. Oh, my apologies. Those are active volcanoes. So La Aurora has an active volcano. The green means inactive, folks. Let's grab somebody in Alatanango. We're going to take a look at this yellow one right here off of Highway 14. All right. Strong shaking. That person is reporting. Strong shaking. Let's see if they said anything. I'm going to do my best. Everybody knows how I am with Spanglish. Okay. Sensible. Mueblos. I can't make it out, guys. Let's see if somebody else popped up with some English with one of these reports. Chimbolatrango. We're going to. It looks like somebody reported from there. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Inside of the supervision. It's coming from. It will not let me open it, but that is, the yellow is strong shaking. All right, guys. And feel free to go through and take a look and click on some of those to see what people are saying. Strong shaking once again. Let's see here. Just a report of strong shaking. Let's go in on this orange one. Very strong. I'm sure being that close, you probably felt some strong shaking. Sure. Let's see if they said anything. Nope, they didn't say anything.
43
Okay, guys,
minutes.
so you can see this conglomeration
43.
is like a new fresh baby. Let's just click on a few more that happened too, and they're tagging it to Puerto Madero, Mexico. And one thing I do want to say, we have not had an orange screen up over that area, what I call the war zone, for quite some time. The squeeze zone, which is here and here that I talk about. We have not had an orange screen up over this area as much orange screen is across the nation right now, and down into Mexico. And I find that quite interesting that that's the case right now. Our squeeze zone is critical to the war and to be watching every little step between Guatemala and Mexico City, guys. All right, let's just get a look at this dumb here again. All right, there we go. There's a 10K hammer. Woohoo! We got that main vein. We gotcha. Gotcha. 5.1 equals 6. That's not an accident. Military letting us know. Shebang, we gotcha. All right, let's look at some of them around that area here and see if any more. Oh, and that was at, let's see, well, they're reporting at 2 hours ago. Let's go in on this one just to the south and to the east here and see what that one pops for us. There we go. There's another 10 km. Wow. And a 6.0 letting us know we got them. Wow. Incredible. Okay. I'm liking where this is going. All right. Let's keep clicking around here. See if there's any more. Let's see here. Click on it. There she blows. Another 10 km. Oh, wow. This is a big deal, folks. This is huge. Oh, Mexico. Welcome to freedom. Get out there today and put those feet on the ground because the true frequency is coming through. Barefoot and stand there and just hold your arms out. Fantastic. Very exciting. Let's go to this one to the south and to the east here. That's just about its sister. All right. And let's see. This was an hour ago. 53 km deep. Okay. 5.0. All right. So they're working on that area. Clearly, they've had enough and they're ready to wrap things up. I'm just going to bounce around a little bit and move fast, guys. That's a 5.0. Let me just move quickly through some of these. All right, 2 hours ago, folks. Okay, I believe we saw that dumb. This is the one I want to see. Come on. Open up. Open sesame. Sometimes it takes a lot. You got to play around with it to get it to open. There we go. Another 10. Yep, this is absolutely a 10 km extravaganza if I've ever seen one. If I could draw a trophy, I would, but I stink at drawing. It'll probably look more like a, well, I guess a pawn in playing chess. Okay, either way, we're celebrating. We are celebrating. Incredible. Thank you so much, military. You guys feel free to climb on over there and keep looking around. Let's go into Tapacalua. Cholula. There we go. There's the proper pronunciation. 22 hours ago, guys, this new one was. Open her up. And that was at a depth of 98 km. So that stinker was deep. So this just, might as well not even be. All right. Let's go to the south here and hit this one here. This was 4 days ago. And that was 80 km. So you see, they're all pretty deep. And, I do believe the deep state is angry. Wouldn't you be? We just blew up a conglomeration of their 10 KMs, their main dumbs, and we did it in a matter of hours, and they're all gone. So, of course, they're going to try and get what they can out of it by scaring us, lowering that fear. We got a tsunami. Everybody be scared, run, which is bull honky doo doo. Because if you look at the dumb, like I said, you take a look at it here. Okay, it was 18 km deep. All right, 7.3, knock that down to maybe, I'll give it a 4.3. Okay, like that. All right, so no worries on that at all. No fear porning. We've got to get rid of that mockingbird media, because they're parasites. They'll take anything they can get, anywhere they can get. They probably stood there and said, oh, there goes that section of tunnels. That's terrible. Okay, how can we use it to our advantage? All right, let's do some fear porn. Give ABC News a call and tell them we're putting out a tsunami warning and scare the crap out of everybody. That way we can feed. They don't like high frequency, guys. We are high frequency beings, humans are. So we've really had a tit for tat going on with these satanic conglomeration of satanic Kabbalists, 13 bloodline families. All right, guys, we're going to jump over. Let's go on over to Myanmar real quick. Actually, we're going to take a stop back in the Los Estados Unidos, because we had a couple go off in that area just off the coast of Ponce Inlet in Florida, to the north of Orlando 22 hours ago. You guys, I found this very interesting. It was right at the surface. Look at that. A 3.9 went off right at the surface. Okay, that's a big deal. Let's just zoom in and see what we can see. Clearly, the shelves go really wide. Look at how far that first shelf is there. Well, this is the first shelf here, down in the sea. So let's just see what we can see around it. All right, I don't really need... Well, there is the V there. Interesting. We all know V for Vendetta. Here we go. Also known as the snake. Its tongue. I do see that. You always want to look around at this stuff, guys. So just about straight across from Palm Coast, and in between St. Augustine and Palm Coast here. Okay, so there we go. There. Now, also, we had one in Mexico go off to the north. All right, here's Mexico City, folks. Okay, San Luis Potasi. I'm going to pronounce it. I'm going to come on in on this dome. This dome is to the south of Calabasas. All right, here is the town of Calabasas. Highway 101 running through here. Looking for water around it. That's important. All right. There she blows. On farm property, guys. Do we see any houses, churches, water? Want to be looking for all that. That's all very important. Airports, small municipal airports. That's what you're looking for out there also. Okay. And here's the town. Just looking around just a bit, guys. See what we can see around that dome. And with being a 10 km, we're loving that, right, guys? We are loving it. Flat out, it's a 10 km, and that's what's important. And I'm not surprised that there's a 10 km or a main tunnel right out there in Real. You guys just, I know some of you laugh at me when I try to pronounce these Spanglish names. All right, guys, now we're going to jump the drink, and we are going on over to Myanmar. I choose not to call it Burma because that claims ownership for the deep state. there in their area. A lot of dumb action going on, but not necessarily in Myanmar. Okay, we had a pretty good one go off. And let me just show you guys, this was 16 hours ago. And I've always said, you know, this area is quieted down quite a bit. Usually they'll come back through in a year or two and they'll blow up main tunnels after they've gotten some veins that are hooked to other 10 km. So it's a very positive thing when you see these 10 kms being blown up when there's not very many dams being blown up around it. Like they've finished up all of the veins and they're just waiting to do some other veins farther away in order to blow that 10 km up. It really says a lot, folks, when you see that behavior. So here is our dam. Like I said, you don't see very much action there in Myanmar. And that was a 10 km, and they blew that up at a 5.2 blast there, and they do have a few more around it. That was 16 hours ago, which equals 7. Woo! We're liking that. Okay, and again, there we go again. See, they're coming back through. They're saying, we're done. It's over. This area should be able to quiet down. You know, we've been in there for a long time. To you folks there that have liberated yourselves above ground, be proud that now it's happening below ground and the true frequency of the earth can get back to its natural behavior like that. Let's zoom in real quick. Take a look. All right, what's around it? Oh, well, we do have the Mandalay River. All right, kind of like our Mississippi. That Mississippi was built for one thing and one thing only, child trafficking. Okay, that's it. That's what it was built for. You know, 800,000 children in America do not disappear in 1 year every single year because they don't have any way to get them in and out of there. And they just use the excuses of barges, and we need to use it for just lies, just lie after lie. So there's that dam tucked right up close to the water. And I just want to look around and see if there's any identifying churches, houses, things like that. We do see a conglomeration of homes and stuff maybe right there. We do see this is farmland out here. Farmland mixed with Hansel and Gretel. Forestry. Yeah, here we go. There you go, guys, go. Usually they'll show us a number for the house. Those may not be houses. Those look more like barns, and I'm just not sure what the heck that is right there. Huh, interesting. Okay, guys. So that's practically in his driveway, coming and going from there, right? Look at that. Yeah. Smoker on that one, huh, guys? Huh. Wow. Okay, let's pull back out and go in close on this dam. Just to the north, of course, look at that, guys. Could it be any more perfect for them? Right in the water. You know, subs and submarines can come and go, you know. Yeah, very convenient. I wonder if there's a town next to it and a hospital and a church and a bar, because that's basically the setup that's needed. Let's see what town is closest. Here's a town, guys. Some island of some sort. Wow. This is a perfect storm for child trafficking if I've ever seen it. Wow. Just absolutely perfect. Let's go to the south one here and to the east and just take a peeker at 10 km again. Congratulations, Myanmar. I'm so happy for you guys. You guys have been killing yourselves to liberate your country and make sure your grandchildren are going to be okay. And we thank all of the nations around the world as we try to wrap this war up in the United States. And we thank all of the nations for working as hard as they could without us to liberate their countries, to get it ready for the main Israel takedown, which we see happening right now. You can see it all over the place. Let's go in close and take a look at that. Hansel and Gretel style, guys. right out in the middle of no man. Oh, hold that thought. Okay, I believe these are structures right here, guys. This rest of this is rock of some sort. All right. Just come on to the south. Yeah, Hansel and Gretel straight up, right? Let's just see what the nearest town is. Oh, I saw it.
Okay, we got 34. Wait, actually, 34. Wait. 28 minutes.
I was trying to read what they're calling that moat area. So what is this here?
This
sure
is,
wish I could read
one of our
that
favorite
script,
channels,
guys.
Wendy.
You can see very
News
marshy
Force.
area and stuff in through here. Okay. Everything they like. There's a reason why they call it the swamp. They love the swampy behaviors in order to traffic children, in traffic drugs, in order to make sure humans fail. There's just so much to the deep state. We're going to jump over here. I have something to show you over in Saudi Arabia. All right, guys. We had a really nice deal go on to the south here. Take a look at this, folks. We're just bringing the 10 kms, aren't we? Now, that was a 5.3 blast. That was pretty good. All right, let's look at the, of course, wedged right in that shelf area there. Let's take a look at this one 5 hours ago. Another 10 km. Congratulations, Saudi. Oh, that's one. Well, it would be considered Yemen, guys. Okay, Yemen. I'm just saying Saudi because, you know, it's that whole continent there.
How's Chad
Well,
doing?
they call it a peninsula. Okay, so it would be specifically Yemen. Peninsula looks like a foot, like so. Very exciting. All right, guys. We're going to have Mia explain to us the details behind the war that's going on in Myanmar. They've been fighting since 1989 to claim their rights back. And I do believe once we gain strength here in this nation, we're going to be able to run around and put these cabal fires out because we're bigger monsters than they are versus the people. They've been at war for a long time and, you know, they're fighting hard. Let's go ahead and listen to Mia for a minute.
Myanmar's not in the news much right now, but there's a terrible war happening there. We just did a YouTube explainer on it, and we got a lot of comments from people in Myanmar saying they feel forgotten by the world. So what is going on there? Over the last 4 years, there's been this big rebellion against Myanmar's military rulers by all sorts of opposition groups, who now appear to have the edge.
The military, if you like, is on the ropes. Losing significant land, civilian territories.
Quick backstory. Myanmar has essentially been under military rule since the 1960s. But from about 2011 onwards, there was this period people call Myanmar's experiment with democracy. There were elections, and Aung San Suu Kyi's party won twice. You might have heard of her. She'd been the face of the opposition for years. But in 2021, the military took back power in a coup. Aung San Suu Kyi was sent to prison, and there were huge protests.
Peaceful demonstrations were responded to with massive violence by the military.
In some ways, that made people even more determined to kick the military out, once and for all. Some of those pro-democracy protesters formed armed resistance groups, ordinary people like students, lawyers, and medics who picked up weapons, and they've become a pretty effective fighting force. That's also because many of them got training from another category of fighters on the anti-military side. They're known as the ethnic armed organizations, and these are groups that represent different ethnic minorities in Myanmar. They've been fighting against the military rulers for a pretty long time for better rights and autonomy in their regions.
Every minority in Burma has their own stories to tell you how much they are suffering. So that is a main driving force for these minorities.
And it's the ethnic armed groups that have made the biggest gains on the battlefield, especially in the last year. For example, one group has taken full control of Myanmar's border with Bangladesh. In this video, you can see soldiers in that area surrendering. And a lot of analysts say the military, which used to be all-powerful, is facing all sorts of problems, including getting enough people to fight on their side.
They have introduced conscription and are literally kidnapping
young men to fight in the military.
With everything that's happened, the map of Myanmar now looks like this, basically a patchwork of control. The military only has that area in green, but it includes the capital, Naypyidaw, and other major cities. That's helping them hang on to power for now. But plenty of people are predicting that it's only a matter of time before the regime does actually fall.
This illegal coup attempt by the military has failed. One of the very reasons is because of the resilience of the Myanmar people.
Thank you, Al Jazeera News, for bringing that news report. And as you can see, and you can tell, they've been fighting a long time. They need somebody like us. But right now, we're still being held on by the Israelis. Israel is not a place. Israel is a group of people, Kabbalists, deep state, Khazarian mafia, that hide in the dark, travel through races, travel through all sorts of different channels, religion, in order to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, which is stay alive and control the world through their evil behaviors that they have made themselves, which includes child trafficking, eating children, just all of the behaviors that are completely against humans altogether. So really, it's the humans against the Satanists is really what it boils down to. And so we call them the Israelis because they used to be the Khazarian mafia. They're all one and the same. It's just a matter of they have morphed as they've gone along and shifted and withdrawn anything they can do to stay alive. If you want to look up how they got here, I would say the jump started with Paperclip, Operation Paperclip, the jump from there. Look up Paperclip, Operation Paperclip, and you'll see it's attached to Hitler in that time, and scientists who were basically, we were told during Nuremberg that they were hung or killed or punished for their crimes against humanity, and that was not true. That's why I don't like this screwiness going on where they're just showing us reports and, oh, you'll be able to see the videotape because they did this during Nuremberg and lied to us and said these people were gone, and they put them in the United States of America, gave them new names, patted them on the back with lots of money, had them reproducing children, and just began to continue on with their satanic ways. So it is the humans against the Satanists right now, because they are not human, as far as I'm concerned. You know, if you touch them or cut them, they bleed and stuff like us. But once you've crossed that line, are you really us anymore? So we have our own Myanmar Burma fight going on civilly. Myanmar, you hang in there. We're coming to help. Because it'll take us just doing this right here, blowing up their tunnels. We need to control above, below, and then the ground. So that's really what's going on here, folks. So please throw out some good frequency. And you guys, some of you, I have had some comments in the past when I talk about Myanmar. Watch me from there. Please go outside and try and put your feet on the ground now that we have these dumbs, these low frequency, low energy Kabbalist dumbs blown up, and start, taking your shoes off and really feeling that frequency. We'll be sending you good frequency over here from the States, right, everybody? For sure. Been a long war, and we know that our humans worldwide, our population is down, and we're going to need, when this is all over with, the first thing we're going to ask everybody to do is repopulate. We're going to ask for the nuclear family back, which will come naturally to us humans. We're going to want it. We're craving it now. In mass reproducing of humans, because the Kabbalists, the deep state of the Khazarian mafia, they're religious Satanists, if you want to call them, hate humans and have absolutely devastated the numbers on this planet. They are lying to us about the numbers, folks. Okay, let's just head on past Thailand and jump over here to Vietnam. I have not clicked on these yet, but I'm going to see if you guys notice something. It's pretty clean. They haven't blown any dumbs up in this, in Cambodia, all of this area at all. But yet we have these two right over here that just happened a couple of days ago. So what would you say they're going to be? 10 kmers for sure. Let's check it out and see together. All right. We'll do both of them. There it is. Yep. 10 km. Same with Africa. Anytime you see them over there in Africa being blown up, those are all 10 kms because they're done with that area. Structurally with veins, once they complete veins a long ways away, they come back through to finish them up. Vietnam, you guys, one last firing of DUMs, and you guys can too relax and know that the true earth is underneath you without Satanists' hands and Kabbalah's hands all over touching our earth, right, guys? Let's take a look at this south dome here that they blew up, and then we'll go in and look closer. It's in Kon Tum, Vietnam. Yeah, there it is. 10 km. Yes. I just love it. Love it. Love it. I get very excited. Okay, let's go in closer here. All right, guys. So we're coming in to, again, a very, of course, Vietnam is very jungly. Oh, look at that. In the marshy areas. Yeah, coming in close. Let's take a look. There we go, guys. Interesting. Doc Blow Blah River. Doc Blah River. It's not really a river. It's more like an Evergladesy, marshy area. It looks like perfect for submarines, right? Just perfect for submarines. Let's go and take a look at this other dome real quick, guys. To the north. All right. And I can already tell that this is saying National Reserve, National Forest. I can already tell, of course. And if you know, our national forests are controlled by the cabal. All right, let's go in close. So they can control who goes in and out, and they know who's going in and out. What a damn shame that Vietnam War, all the people that died on both sides, that was bloody war just for the low frequency and, of course, the money. All of our men died in vain. And I'm glad they're not here to know that fact. Okay, I'm just so glad, because when I found out that most of our soldiers died in vain, they did not die for freedom and love and what they truly felt in their heart they were fighting for. They were very well deceived. And it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. One of the rules of the new Earth is no more wars. That's why we're hurrying up, finishing up these DUMs, making sure we take care of the cabal, get them cleaned up. All militaries will drop to about 12 to 14% of what it is now. I'm hearing 3% on some of them because there won't be war. It used to be the military was going to be all about helping the people, you know, learning skills, going to college type of style. And the cabal took it over and turned it into war. I do believe you won't be issued weapons anymore if you go into the military. Give us about 10 years, and anybody that sees the word military will think of it as totally different than what it really is, guys. So here's David Nino Rodriguez, and he does a morning report just about every day. And he is here to talk a little bit about the children that I speak of. The main reason why we're in the jam we're in. Let's go ahead and hit play.
Deep underground military bases. That's where they take these kids. That's where they take their blood. That's where they do.
Seeing that all these shit you think was crazy. Like there used to be MK Ultra doing it, but now all these satanic panic stuff. That shit's real.
It's all Satanist.
I looked into it. There's different opinions on that. Part of it, MK Ultra could be using the Satan thing because to shake their mind up, or they could really be worshiping these gods. I don't know which
they really are. In my opinion,
I started leaning that direction the more I've looked into it.
Well,
that's
crazy.
That's really the religion.
But you start actually digging; it's everywhere. Like the Epstein, look at his temple with the owls, and you start seeing the imagery everywhere. Like he's getting all these religious objects.
Look at what's under all these synagogues, tunnels. Look at under all these elementary schools, tunnels. I went to a Catholic school, tunnels. What the hell is? Why do we have tunnels under a church, bro? Children are a currency.
And hospitals.
They are for pedophilia, organ harvesting, adrenochrome. This is real.
Well, it's like the youth, like the sex magic, which the 100% they need like young virgin This guy, Michael Aquino, was doing the same
Aleister
thing.
Crowley.
He was doing this in San Francisco not long ago. Hundreds of kids reported him. They explained his place, what it looked like. He literally had the room with the pentagram on it. The kids explained. The military came in and shut down the
And he's a
operation.
general.
Yeah.
And he's a general.
Yeah, this isn't a random guy. This is
military dude.
He wrote a book with one of the guys in the Turning Points board about psychological warfare against American.
My hat is off to Nino. He was just in the hospital a couple of weeks ago with some heart trouble, and he attributed it directly to anxiety. I've noticed since he got out, he's really put the metal and beginning to talk about the children a lot more and blending it in with what he speaks of. And I have a feeling that maybe that might have had something to do with this anxiety, but my hat's off to you, Nino. And I hope you're feeling better. You seem to be doing better. You look fantastic, man. So yes, children are the currency. They've been the currency of the world. Just take the dollar and just put a child in place of the word dollar. Okay. We might as well do that because that's what we're doing here. And, the sooner everybody recognizes that, the faster we all get at the same frequency, the faster we can put this fire out, because the truth of the matter is that people raising their frequency is what's going to kill them off. Almost like somebody taking glass thing and putting it up to an ant and burning it with the sun. Every time somebody wakes and their frequency comes up because they've learned the truth, okay, we have another, we're getting closer and closer to the ants, and we're just burning them up like that. If we keep this up the rate we're going, absolutely there won't be a chance for these guys to survive it. And just be careful with the Nasara Jasara 14% tax thing. No taxing. This earth is here for us. If we have to pay anything, anywhere, at any time, taxation to be here, there's something wrong. The cabal's involved. So don't let the cabal snake through and stay alive on that 14%. We absolutely should not be paying for anything in. I've talked to you guys about the fact that our military, you're like, the government, the military, that's all going down to 3%, guys, because all the rest was all lies and sort of like offshore accounts and stuff like that, to steal money from us, our tax-paying dollars. So think about it. How much money will they need now? And they're going to be self-sufficient because there's not going to be wars involved, like that. And so it's going to be a different world. No, if we're paying in taxes to anybody, anything in any way, shape, or form, we are re-signing the enslavement contract again. We do not have to pay to be here. If anything, we need our technology back so it can start waiting on us hand and foot, because that's what you're here for. You're here to enjoy the glory of this planet and make it divine and take care of our animals and enjoy yourself and do things that you want to do, not that you have to do. If you screw up and go to school for something, and you don't have to worry about money because you want to change careers. It's a whole new world when the money thing goes away, the money equation goes away. And that's the only way the cabal survives, is through the money. But we are going to back ourselves out by replacing their dollar with gold backing again. And we're going to slowly back away from them. It looks like it's going very quickly. And I did want to introduce the idea. If you want to know how we know what's going on in the war, we know the military is running things right now. And we know that the war is backed by what's called the Law of War Manual, folks, okay? That is the biggest thing. If you want to know what's going on in this war, get your hands on people who are discussing the Law of War Manual that can walk you through where we're at, okay? And you can get those on Amazon. They are the light blue. I'll just show you real quick, guys. Here you go, guys. So here are the Law of War manuals, the updated ones. Okay, they're the light blue, not the dark blue. Okay. I mean, you can get the dark blue ones. That's from the previous wars, but pretty much this is where we're at. Here are these right here, these light blue ones. There's plenty of a supply if you wanted to order them for your shelf or to read. But that is our manual that's controlling this war right now. And I might add, for the win, right, guys? get a look at direct energy weapons in an action. These are much lighter and skinnier ones, but there you go. This was the earthquake in Chile. This was 12/22 of 22. Red Sea. They're talking about it if you want to read through that. I'll share this over behind my report. Kind of cool, huh? I know you can't really see it too well with that writing. That writing will go away in a second here. Here it comes, so you'll be able to see it again, guys. Finish up here. There you go.
Just went over, you guys.
Pretty cool. Direct energy weapons, they can do anything. They are magical and they can be very, very good for us, but they can be used in horrible ways too. Just horrific. And if you want to learn more about the DUMBs and the underground world that I am talking about here, jump on Telegram and come on over to DUMBs and Underground. Punch that in. They will teach you just about everything you need to know about our DUMBs, guys. They have a variety of things on here that pull everything together for an understanding of a world we didn't know was going on around us. And in honor of our military around the world, I say learning the truth leads to a road that shows that our loved ones died in vain. And why I say that is because they died for a cause that was well beyond what we thought they were really dying for. And I would like to just take a minute and I want to remind everybody that our military is not here for wars and bloodshed and death, okay? Our military definitely is here to help raise the frequency on this planet by helping others around them, going to school, planning for a future, that type of thing. Let Mike here tell you all about it.
In the Navy, to all those serving in the Army and the Marines and the Air Force and the Navy, that you have the absolute right to refuse to take part in these criminal wars, and that's a right that all of you should exercise. You have no reason to go put your life on the line and kill and die for profit. We've been to Iraq, we've been to Afghanistan, and we know what these wars are really about. And we joined the military for many reasons, because we need a college education, because we need a job, because we need health care. And then we join the military, and they tell us that our enemies are poor people in caves in Afghanistan, or poor people in deserts of Iraq. But we've been to those countries, and we know that our enemies are not other poor people abroad. Our enemies are the people that laid us off from our jobs, that denied us health care, that make it impossible to get an education. Our enemies are not in the poorest countries on the planet, but right here in the richest one.
This should be the only reason we fight for humans, for human rights, for the rights for everybody to be free, for the rights of people to live free, to seek out happiness without interruption, to seek out travel without interruption, to look forward to seeing each and every human being that you're going to encounter next. That's what it should be about. And right now we are fighting for the children, because when we fight for the children, we fight for ourselves too. You know, we fight for our grandchildren. We fight for the future children, the past children that didn't have a chance to say a word of what was happening to them. We fight for the right for our realm to be free. Okay. That's what we're fighting for. And we will keep fighting until this is over with, until we have captured every last one of you stinking cabal members, until we have cleaned it up to where we are satisfied that this is a place that we would like to bring children into and allow them to grow up and have children of their own. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're seeking. That's what this movement is about: freedom without fear. And it starts right here, folks. Being selfish, okay? I'm going to tell the pitcher story. I know everyone's like, oh no, she's going to tell the pitcher story again. If you have a pitcher of water, okay, and you've got 16 people to dump the water into, okay, you can only dump so many and then you run out of water, right? Now, let's say you have no water, you can't fill up anybody's glass, right?
Everybody likes her.
What good have you done you or others if your pitcher is not full? You have to be first. You have to fulfill yourself first. You have to take care of yourself first, especially you moms out there with toddlers running around the house and stuff. Put you first. I know you're tired, but get out of bed and give yourself that extra half an hour to yourself in the morning. It is so critical. Your body needs it. So your mind is giving it to your body. Okay, like that. Just examples, little things that you do. Don't compromise right now. You're trying to train yourself to put yourself first. So don't compromise on anything, because every time you compromise, okay, your brain trusts you a little less. Your subconscious trusts you a little less. You cannot compromise with the subconscious. It runs the show. And you've been busy trying to control it because that's what we were taught to do. Okay, is to be selfless. What's the first thing you're told when you're 4? Give that toy back to your brother and stop being so selfish. No, be selfish. That's how we learn to be able to fill ourselves, to fill others, and just keep going and going and going with it. And of course, the cabal stole that too, right, guys? It is not selfish to love yourself or take care of yourself or to make your happiness an absolute priority. It is a necessity, folks. It is an absolute necessity. I will keep striving for it, okay? I struggle with it each and every day myself, okay? But when you put you first and you see how much more you can give around you when you put you first, it does what? It raises the frequency on this planet, which raises the consciousness, which does what? Pushes the cabal down. They can't survive at our levels of consciousness that are happiest in our best place to be. And that's our saving grace, because as soon as we vibrate at that level, they're gone. They die like parasites. If I shot them with peroxide, okay, they're going to die like that, you know, taking their oxygen from them. And that's what we're doing. And we're damn well going to keep going until we have every last one of them.
If he could do it, this isn't a movie. He believed in himself, and he can too. Oh man, you gonna put it on me like that? You can do anything that you want. You can get singing lessons, get a better job, make more money. You could be like rich. You could live in the White House someday. You could be president. Me? Do what you want to do. It's not about it's not up to other people. It's true. It's up to you. I love
you. Little guy out of the mouths of babes, right, guys? Oh, their hearts are so pure and so true, full of truth, and we just strip it right out of them. No more. We're saying no more. Okay, no more. Don't just be good to others, guys. Be good to yourself too, and make that first. If you guys could, can you just give me a little like or ronski? If you liked this, give me a little thumbs up there. I'd be greatly appreciated. And if you have any questions at all, please come over to News Force Warriors on Telegram.
All right,
and
guys.
slap it on down. If you have something that you would like me to talk about more so.
That was a lot of big information that she does a good job on. We made it. Oh, 1717. So I got 10 short clips, and then we'll get to, we'll see how time is. I don't know if I'll get to Captain Kyle or not, but we'll get a lot of short ones in right now, then probably finish with Billy. I just got this one, 6 minutes.
Election integrity and the economy got 0. I'm going to tell you that's a problem. Because the way that we're going to win the midterms and the way that Donald Trump is going to have the ability to reshape the world as a world of sovereign nations against the British financial system is what he is doing with the U.S. economy. So, Adam, if you could play that clip.
We're here today to celebrate a colossal victory for this Commonwealth and for the entire nation. This afternoon, we're announcing nearly $10 billion of new investments in our defense industrial base right here in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And these investments will create more than 4,000 jobs. Pennsylvania workers will build the ships, submarines, trucks, weapons, and industries that will ensure America remains the strongest and most powerful nation in the history of the world. We're doing better now than we've ever done. We have $19.2 trillion. We used to go million, then we went billion, now we're into the trillions. But we're also reasserting the fundamental truth: to be a strong nation, you must be a manufacturing nation, manufacturing jobs. But this year alone, we've added 18,000 new manufacturing jobs, and that number could go up by 10 and 15 times as these factories begin to open, including, remember Obama used to say, you'll never have another manufacturing job in the United States. Can you imagine? And these are the best jobs. These are the highest paying jobs. They're the best jobs.
The president spoke, and so did a bunch of industry leaders. But it was like a fire hose in terms of how much is going into Pennsylvania alone, because they have a Republican senator who actually gets it. I mean, they have a Democratic governor. He's not as batshit crazy as the one I have here in Michigan, so maybe he doesn't get in the way as much. But this is what happens when you actually begin to bring the president's policies to bear. So they went through in this speech how much money is coming into Pennsylvania, how much overall is coming in, 4,000 new jobs, a 25% increase. And then if you look down here without, having to look at all of the details, each one of these is some major defense industrial base investment in the state of Pennsylvania, with the amount of money coming in some cases, the number of jobs connected to it, what the products are that are actually being built in the state. And obviously, Pennsylvania is not the only state. There's other states like Texas and North Carolina and Arizona that are major, major recipients of this. But I wanted to focus on this because, look, the question really is, and we will address election integrity, and I know everybody is sitting on the edge of their seat waiting to see what the president says tonight. I'm not going to predict it. For God's sake, it's Donald Trump. If you think you can predict what he's going to talk about tonight, you haven't been paying attention for the past 10 years. Obviously, he's going to address election integrity in some respect, and I suspect make some moves to begin to shore up that side of it. But I will keep coming back to the point that I have made all the way through. We had crappy election integrity in 2024. Again, I'm in Michigan. I'm in Wayne County. Don't try and school me on how they steal elections. Been there, done that, seen it. Donald Trump still won in 2024. And and here's what I want to say. Whatever happens on election integrity, good, bad, or indifferent, there is still a pathway to win this midterm election if we focus on what this administration is doing to rip the United States economy out of the grip of a parasitical globalist elite, which has shrunk our industrial base. It shrunk our middle class and our working class. And honestly, it shrunk the way people think about themselves, which is why you have the ability of our enemies to play on the victimization, on the littleness, on the fear, on the reactiveness of the American population. Because if people are in that frame of mind, we will lose the midterms. But if people are on the offensive, saying exactly what the president reflected there, manufacturing economic sovereignty, good paying jobs, producers, the basic American identity, which has characterized us throughout the best parts of our history. People will march into the polls and they'll figure out what to do properly. So I think we have to continually remember what this fight is about. Election integrity is a critical battle. The wars are aspects of this, but what's the fight? The fight is to reassert the American system of political economy and to create the condition and to destroy the British imperial system, what many people call globalization, and also give the rest of the world the ability, the opportunity, if they want to take it, to implement the American system. That's what we're fighting for. And everything else has to be seen in that context. So I wanted to be a contrarian, given the fact that 0% of the people responded on the economy, and just sort of relocate why you can't forget about that because of.
Okay, a regular one of me play. I got our other partner here next. She has a 3-minute one.
Imperial collaborators? That's the shocking question I'm asking today. And by the end of this briefing, you'll see exactly why two of Trump's most vocal supporters seem bent on undermining his most important economic achievements. Right now, there's a growing narrative that Trump lost his mojo in Tuesday's election because he's too focused on foreign policy instead of the domestic economy. Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying it. The City of London's man at the Financial Times, Edward Luce, is also pushing it hard. Tucker Carlson wrote it in his Friday newsletter. The common wisdom says Trump needs to abandon foreign policy and just focus on kitchen table issues at home. Stop the negotiations. Stop the trade deals. Just fix prices and people will be happy. But here's what they're all missing. Trump's foreign policy is his domestic policy. You cannot rebuild America's economy while the British Empire's globalist system controls world trade, energy, and finance. What Trump is doing in Korea, with China, in the Middle East, that's not a distraction from fixing the economy. It's the only way to finally fix it. Tucker and MTG have walked straight into an old imperial trap, the same one the British have used for centuries to pit patriots against their own national interest. I'm Barbara Boyd, and I've been tracking the destruction of our economy since 1973, when the so-called post-industrial society was inaugurated. I'm also co-author of our ebook, A Police Dossier. It's the British who murder our presidents. The link is in the description. Today, I'm going to show you three things. First, why Tucker, MTG, and others completely misunderstand Donald Trump's economic offensive and what it means to bend the global economy to favor the United States. Second, how the British Secret Services invented socialism, violent political codes, and George Soros to control countries they want to loot, and how that same operation is being run against Trump right now. And third, why Trump's third way, wielding American political power abroad to create peace and profit at home, is the only path that actually works. But before we dive in, please like and share this video to help us reach more people with this critical analysis. Here's what Tucker wrote in his Friday morning note to subscribers. What's prevented the Republican Party from prioritizing what voters actually care about, which is domestic issues? Other countries, he says. Money for other countries, wars for other countries, negotiations for other countries, security guarantees for other countries, and strange worship of their leaders too. That's the end of the quote. You'll notice he made no effort to separate Mark Levin and Lindsey Graham from the president in this accusation. If you're like me, that's a truly weird account of why the socialist Zoran Murdami won New York and why Republican candidates in blue New Jersey and purple have Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene become British imperial.
Okay, that was a fast one. So we got both of those in today. This one, I don't know if I played this one yesterday or not. 1,000 views on it.
She's up there in New York City, girl. Just listen. Just listen.
Yeah, we saw that one. I remember that one.
Marks the 160th anniversary of the Freedmen's Bureau Act of 1866. Some of you may know that during the Civil War, the Republicans in Congress established the Freedmen's Bureau to support the basic needs of formerly enslaved Americans. The 1866 Act extended those protections to make sure that people who were once enslaved could protect their newfound freedom through their Second Amendment right to arm themselves. After the Civil War, many of the over 180,000 African Americans who served in the Union Army returned to the states of the old Confederacy. Some states and localities tried to disarm those veterans and other Black people. In response, Congress passed the Freedmen's Bureau Act, which provided that the right to have full and equal benefit of all laws, including the constitutional right to bear arms, shall be secured to all the citizens without respect to race. This anniversary is a reminder that we need to protect Americans' right to bear arms, and that we must constantly be vigilant against those who would rob us of our civil liberties. That is why, under my leadership, the Civil Rights Division has filed cases across the United States fighting unconstitutional restrictions on Americans' Second Amendment rights. Your rights aren't just words on paper. They are constitutional guarantees. At the Civil Rights Division, we will firmly defend those guarantees and the freedoms they protect. Today, July 16th, marks
about 3 minutes.
Basic rights and responsibilities and create a level playing field for all citizens. But equality before the law was never even an aspiration of Soviet revolutionary jurisprudence. The Bolsheviks didn't see the law as a means to adjudicate civil and business disputes or to dispense justice blindly. They viewed it as a mechanism to implement their social and political agenda. The Bolsheviks envisioned Soviet law somewhat as a code of conduct, an instrument used in the early years to compel citizens into adhering to new socialist norms, as determined by the vanguard of the proletariat, the Communist Party. After seizing power in 1918, Vladimir Lenin wrote about the urgent need to create conditions in which it will be impossible for the bourgeoisie to exist or for a new bourgeoisie to arise. The law, for the Bolsheviks, was the means toward that end, an instrument of persecution, not of dispensing justice. Independence was never really a feature of the Soviet legal system. The law, along with the system's functionaries, was expected to serve the interests of the state, or more specifically, the party running the state. All of the above-listed objectives were reflected in the Russian Federation's first constitution of 1918. This basic law codified inequality, elevating a certain class, the proletariat, to preferred status. At the same time, it limited the rights of others, namely anyone deemed to be a member of the bourgeois class. In this way, the Soviet example marked a drastic departure from other experiments in constitution writing arising out of revolutions. Whereas others sought to create more balance in their political systems, the 1918 Russian Constitution enshrined imbalance. Stalin's rise to power in the late 1920s led to the elimination of any distinction between the law and the party's will. The Constitution of 1936, specifically Article 126, was the first to institutionalize the Soviet Communist Party as the leading force of society, the arbiter of all that is right and wrong. And since the party's structure was hierarchical, not pluralistic, the 1936 Constitution, in essence, sanctioned Stalin's dictatorial authority. Ironically, the previous article in the same 1936 Constitution offered guarantees for freedom of speech, an independent press, and freedom of assembly. Such guarantees, of course, were meaningless because Article 126 meant that the Communist Party's desires and preferences could override any law. Keeping the trajectory of the Soviet legal system's development in mind, it's easy to argue that the Great Terror and the gulags were no accident of history. They were an inevitable byproduct of a system that was built upon an unworkable concept, that of arbitrary justice.
Hey, a new one there. About 4 more, and then we'll finish off with Billy Bean, you guys. This one's 3 minutes.
They were instruments of incorporation. Through them, governments collateralized human beings to fund a global debt system they created and never intended to repay. We did not incur this debt. We were pledged against it. The so-called New World Order was never new. It has been planned, refined, and executed over centuries. Its architects are bloodline families operating above governments, hidden behind banking, religion, medicine, and law. Silence protected them because exposure would have ended their control instantly. The COVID operation was not about health. It was about control. It was a control event. A coordinated global compliance test designed to enforce obedience, inject dependency, and accelerate population reduction. The objective was clear: shrink humanity from billions to a manageable remnant. Pardon me. To understand how this system took root, you only need to go back 152 years. The Organic Act of 1871 was not administrative. It was a hostile takeover. After the Revolutionary War drained the U.S. Treasury, global bankers stepped in with loans that came with conditions. Those conditions allowed infiltration of government, courts, banking, education, medicine, and churches worldwide. Every major war was financed the same way. Bankers funded both sides, controlled the outcome, then collected nations as assets. This is not theory. It is their business model. The Act of 1871 was a treasonous violation of the original Constitution. It dissolved the constitutional republic and replaced it with a corporate entity operating as the United States of America Corp. The gold fringe on the flag signaled jurisdictional change. The country was no longer sovereign. It was commercialized. It was commercial.
Talk about the gold flag.
Dr. Jan Halper Hayes has broke this some years back in Britain News, as you may recall, and we've been covering it over the years as well. Common law, rooted in natural and divine law, was replaced with maritime corporate law. Legal language was weaponized. Statutes, policies, mandates, and regulations replaced true law. Consent was presumed. Obedience was enforced. Maritime law is administered through the Bar Association, a foreign corporate registry, not constitutional authority. This is why courts function as debt collection venues, not justice forums. The British Crown and the Vatican sit at the top of this hierarchy, using corporate America as the enforcement arm for global control. This structure only works as long as people believe that it is legitimate. Birth certificate.
All right, that was a good one. We haven't played him in a while. 1D, Derek Johnson, 4 minutes.
resistance. To get into your brain, there's no way that President Donald John Trump went into all these nations just as another president. Just, oh, here's number 45. There's no way President Trump went into all these nations and did what he did if he didn't have a massive military backing. And not just our military, world militaries. Now, until you learn and know and appreciate and are grateful and respectful to what irregular warfare is, what unconventional warfare is, what government exile is, what a continuity government is, what a puppet government is, till you appreciate all those and understand those the correct way, you're never going to appreciate what you've been witnessing until you learn those first. That's the key piece that most every quote-unquote patriot's missing. That's why a lot of rhinos are showing their colors right now. And if they're not a rhino, they dang sure looking like one. So what a military government will do in this kind of facet, and this is called hybrid warfare because we're in a new war. This is a new war. It required all different kinds of strategies and tactics. They're all visual. There's all visual and verbal validation for every single thing I'm talking about, and I'm going to lay them out tonight. But just on the cusp, getting here right now, just setting this up for you. A military operation like this will provide an umbrella. It'll provide, if you will, like a globe, like a dome, all right? And you allow certain things to happen to an extent. And there's proof of this. I hate even, why do we have to have proof for you? Why does it have to be proof? And how did we get in a place in history where a retired military who knows all our laws and orders, but specifically for this blueprint and specifically for military and military government, etc. How do we get to a place where a veteran has to show you proof and then you still don't want to believe it? I mean, you talking about desperate times and desperate places where a veteran gets trashed and disgraced and mocked and ridiculed for showing you straight up what you can go put your eyes and ears on that is separate than quote-unquote politics? You want to know what kind of disgrace Americans are? That's a disgrace. Because no matter how many people trash it, it's still here, still there. And if 70% of America just had a 64th of my IQ, it'd be game over. Now, that's hard math for people out there because people weren't paying attention during school. Just a 64th, 1/64th of my IQ, it would be. So how did we get to a place where military laws, military orders, military first? Oh, because more veterans aren't saying what you want them to say? I'm sorry, more veterans don't know what's going on.
JJ, I got a couple more short.
Shows you where we got. It shows you what President Eisenhower warned the whole world about January the 17th, 1961. He warned you about it. He told everybody he didn't like where the military was going. Military industrial complex, money. People joining the military for money. Benefits, stability, housing, medical, dental, college, intents and motives. Very, very key. What'd you join for? What'd you serve for? I joined the military already having a college degree, but I enlisted. I could have gone straight to officer candidate school, warrant officer, but I enlisted with a college degree. Every veteran who understands that will know what my intent and motives were. Couldn't have been money. Definitely wasn't money.
Okay, we finally got one of his in. Two more short. What do we got here? Oh. This one had a lot of likes.
Well, I think it's a very significant announcement, not only what he said, but the fact that they are releasing these documents so that we can really fact check the claims we heard this evening. I've been digging into the documents already, and I found this November 2020 email. And it specifically states, it's a conversation among intelligence officials. It specifically states that they have, quote, deliberately massaged one of our pending PDBs, that's the president's daily brief, to avoid any direct links to the election. And that is consistent with my reporting. I understand the whistleblower complaint alleged, and I think we're now seeing it in the emails, that there was an intentional effort to suppress intelligence about China's influence operations. And this was, Katie, like a massive effort, what they call a multi-domain operation. That means trade, it means diplomacy, it means open source information, it means social media. So all the levers of power China had to influence the US elections.
In your reporting, you said that a senior intelligence official emphasized to you that in 2020, China was not held to the same standard as Russia and other adversaries, including North Korea, Iran, and proxies like Hezbollah, and that the Chinese influence operations were consistently downplayed while Russia's were routinely amplified. You also talked about this whistleblower who was reportedly retaliated against for trying to bring this information to light.
So in the summer of 2020, as we're heading into the election, in the intelligence community, there were indicators of this Chinese influence operation. Influence operations means that you're trying to affect the outcome of how people vote or their sentiment about a presidential candidate. It's different than an interference operation, which is penetrating voting rolls and voter systems. And this whistleblower was raising the alarm about the influence operation, and then suddenly it all was suppressed. My understanding is that some of their reports, there were in officials' own handwriting that they wanted everything out that could help President Trump in his reelection. So there was clear evidence of political and personal bias, and intelligence is supposed to be neutral. So what we heard tonight from the president is an allegation that this intelligence was suppressed in order to harm him. And now we're seeing documents already which back up those claims.
So first, just your reaction to the president's announcement tonight.
Okay, that was a big one there. Now, this is just a photo of something, you guys. I see if anyone seen it.
Integrity at zero. Welcome to the new age.
What do you guys think of that one? So we're going to end it with Billy Bean with 26 minutes. And I'll be back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock tomorrow.
Caught Chrissy dried.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean. Today's date, July 17, 2026, time in Texas, about 2 p.m. And thanks for like, subscribe, and share, and for especially hitting the like button. That really helps my channel. Thank you so much. Some of the things we'll cover are 7.4 Mexico, 3.9 Florida, and it's being recommended now in the U.S. in certain areas to wear an N95 mask. President Trump, at last, brings out information about the U.S. 2020 presidential coup. And the U.S. military is now hitting bridges. So let's get started. We have this from U.S. Intel. So we had this morning, probably Eastern Standard Time, would have been about 10 to 11 a.m. A 7.4 hitting near Aquiles, Cerdán, Mexico, near Guatemala. There is a tsunami warning up for this area of Mexico, predicted to give a tsunami of 1 to 3 feet. It was felt. It was a very strong earthquake, 7.4, about 20 to 30 miles off of the coast, approximately 9 miles deep. And the shaking was felt in a radius of about 200 feet. And it's believed it certainly impacted the Costco's tectonic plate that we've been keeping an eye on, because when the Costco's plate receives enough shaking, that's going to activate along the San Andreas in California, the big one. So that's going on. We also had in Florida yesterday, off of the coast, about 30 miles, I believe, a 3.9. Depth 0, because it was at the surface of the water. U.S. Intel gives us information. This was the Navy doing a drill to find out what the effects would be on their ship of a full shock. So we see the U.S. Navy engaging in drills to prep it for much more warlike activity. So that's going on. And Mary Greeley had brought out regarding the Mexico earthquake. They're now experiencing aftershocks of 5.3, 6.0. So that's going on. And we have this. In Texas, we're seeing floods, flash floods continue in that in many areas the rain has stopped, but the rivers are all at flood or above flood stage and thus running downstream. So warnings are being given. We know the Llano and Guadalupe exceeded flood stage.
It was a gift. I resented it for 3 weeks. Then I filled the bowl with water, dropped the grapes in, and I wasn't ready for that. I watched my daughter eat half a bowl of grapes this morning before I used it.
And sadly, we now can report 2 deaths associated with these catastrophic floods. Some areas receiving up to 30 inches of rain. The U.S. is also experiencing serious air pollution in areas impacted by wildfires coming down from Canada and also in Utah, moving from central U.S. to the East Coast. And apparently this air pollution is very serious. It's now being recommended that people use N95 mask, which filters out about 95% of particulates in the air and cost about $20. So that's going on. We do have an update on what's going on with regard to the U.S. and the Ebola outbreak in the Congo. Department of Homeland Security has now put out new requirements. People who want to board a plane to the U.S. who have been in the Congo now have to undergo a 21-day quarantine before they can board a plane for the U.S. So that's going on. And an update on the second American citizen testing positive for Ebola. I mentioned a few days ago. It's coming out. This American is also being treated in Germany. So that's going on. So let's move to a new topic. So we saw President Trump coming out last night in his address to the nation at last, bringing out the information that there was indeed in the U.S. presidential election of 2020 a coup. And even Larry Johnson, former CIA, on Dialogue Works this morning, admitted the CIA knew that there was a coup going on. And Larry states that, yes, the U.S. presidential election in 2020 was stolen. He puts forth that the fake ballots were printed in New Jersey. I add to this, yes, there were fake ballots also printed in the U.S. There were also fake ballots printed by China. And President Trump names the number one nation engaged in this presidential coup as being China. He also adds Iran, Russia, and North Korea. But many sources have come out that regarding stolen voter information through cyber attacks by China was done so that China had the information to also print fake ballots. And we have this also regarding the U.S. military hits on Iran last night. U.S. intel that Kuwait, a power plant in Kuwait, was hit by Iran last night. That today Kuwait is having to ration power. We also are hearing about Yemen, the Iran proxy Houthis, firing up on, let me do a short map here. We have Yemen, Oman, Iran. The Yemens last night hit upon a ship in this area in the Gulf of Aden, approximately 24 nautical miles from Yemen. So that's going on. And we have also that Yemen hit upon this ship and also boarded it and seized it. The name of the ship is the Al-Makala in the Gulf of Aden, 65 nautical miles from Yemen. So that's going on. And we have this. So I reported on the earthquakes, including the Navy experimental shock near Florida. And we have this. President Trump then in a speech left no doubt that there was a presidential coup in the U.S. in 2020, and other sources are supporting that the CIA and other intel agencies knew this was going on, and that in 2020, this information was hidden from both President Trump's team and also from JB. So that's going on. And we're also hearing, the deep state, it's believed, manipulated this through certain nations, China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. And of course, interfering in another nation's elections is an act of war. And by President Trump bringing out this information, I believe he's laying the groundwork for certain U.S. military actions in the future. And we have this, that
this professional 32 terabytes SSD, capable of holding the entire collection of the New York Public Library, is something you won't find at Best Buy or any electronics retailer.
The voter rolls of 18 states were secured by cyber attack by China. It's believed they used it to print fake ballots. And that U.S. intel did not tell President Trump, Congress, nor JB's group. So we see manipulation going on within the U.S. government to overthrow the U.S. government. And we have this, China is named, and that as early as 2018, 2 years before the U.S. presidential coup in 2020, the CIA was fully aware that foreign nations were hitting U.S. voter rolls to secure information. And that in 2018, China was also engaging in money, paying off certain agents to provide voter roll information to China. In 2019, it's believed there was a plot within the CIA to take down President Trump. And it's believed that during this period of time, China was certainly engaging in paying influencers, both on the internet and most likely on mainstream media. And that China engaged in influencing U.S. businesses to take down President Trump, as well as paying certain journalists engaged in various media platforms to print and speak against President Trump. So that's going on. All we're hearing is China, 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 attempting to overthrow the government of the United States of America. And that China worked to take down President Trump in 2020. China worked for the previous period of time, going back years, to weaken the U.S. military. And we saw many actions in the Commie-Dem JB regime to weaken the U.S. military. We would have to wonder how many people in JB's group were being paid off by China. And oh, don't forget about the auto pen. And it's coming out, the FBI had intel in 2020 that China had manufactured fake ballots. So that's going on. And we have this from U.S. intel, that U.S. intel and certain agencies in the U.S. government knew about the attempted overthrow of the U.S. via a fake 2020 presidential election. They knew this in 2020 prior to President Trump leaving office, but they withheld this information. And we have this going back to Obama, who advised the FBI to put certain election information into burn bags. Apparently, the FBI did put information into burn bags, but they did not complete the action of burning the information. And we have this, that now that this information is coming out and documents are being declassified and released under President Trump. You can see these at a website, whitehouse.gov. And now the FBI, CIA, and DOJ are putting together criminal investigations, highly likely to result in criminal prosecutions against certain members of various U.S. federal agencies as well as state level election officials. So that's going on. And we have this, that U.S. citizens have been lied to about the 2020 presidential election, and that foreign nations, namely China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, were heavily engaged in influencing the U.S. 2020 election.
If it is invalid, we promise a tenfold refund. This denture can be successfully worn in just 1 second and is suitable for everyone. Whether you have complete teeth, partial missing teeth.
And that voter databases were secured,
I guess that
we know,
okay,
by China
JJ,
through
we
cyber
have no
attacks.
Yeah.
So that's going on. And we have this. The CIA plotted against President Trump. Certain members of the CIA, certainly anytime you have a tens of thousands CIA employee group, some of them are going to be lemons. And that the CIA had a plot to digitally rig the 2020 U.S. election. So we see much of the information I know I have put out about the Dominion voter machines being rigged is now being supported by declassified U.S. federal documents and by President Trump. And that in Michigan, the FBI had discovered fake ballots. So that's going on. And now we have the Department of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen, coming out with current voter information across the U.S. in 2026. The Department of Homeland Security has determined that 278,000 illegals are on U.S. voter rolls right now, and that out of that group, 28,000 are in various states, while 250,000 illegals are on voter rolls in just 4 states: California, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Nevada. And now it's believed the Save America Act will likely pass through, it's passed the House, will likely pass the Senate very shortly, that will require voters in America to show a photo ID. So that's going on. And that many states, including blue states controlled by the Dems, are not likely to require voter ID, even if the U.S. federal government passes the law. They will simply say, we don't have enough time before the midterms to put this into practice. But as I said, 250,000 illegals have been allowed to vote in California, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Nevada.
Michigan.
So that's going on. And we have this. So it's believed the U.S. will pass the Save America Act. The red states will happily put that requirement on voters. You have to show a photo ID. You have to be able to prove that you are an American citizen in order to vote. While the red commie Dem states, it's anticipated, will not put this in place. So that's going on. And now we see the greatest military in the history of the world. And with President Trump saying, light them up, massively hitting Iran. They're beginning now to hit bridges. We have from U.S. Intel yesterday, July 16. The U.S. military began hitting along the south coast near the Strait of Hormuz, a major city and major IRGC military base and port, Bandar Abbas. The U.S. military took out the Garavan Bridge, also the Hormogan Bridge, and also major railroad hubs. This near the Shahid Radi port near Bandar Abbas. All these bridge hits, and I believe the U.S. military took out 3 bridges, resupplied to Bandar Abbas, as well as a major railroad hub to destroy the IRGC's resupply routes. And
hi guys, I'm going to test my new zoom scope today.
One more commercial.
So that's, and we had also in Syria yesterday a hit upon Iran. Iran sent a group, IRGC, through Syria to resupply Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Syrian military captured this Iran group to stop Iran's resupply to Hezbollah in Lebanon. So we see that correlating to President Trump's recent meeting with the leader of Syria in the White House. That happened a couple of days ago. The U.S. begins to hit in Iran bridges, airports, railroad hubs. And in exchange, we saw Iran doing a massive hit on Kuwait's electric power station. And now Kuwait has to ration electricity today. So that's going on. We have this from Stephen Gardner regarding a recent interview of Vice President J.D. Vance by Joe Rogan, stating that the U.S. is not controlled by Israel, but also I heard with my own ears during this interview that Vice President J.D. Vance intimated that Israel was engaging in influencing certain topics within the U.S. We have from MonkeyWorks that satellites show Iran moved 60% of their enriched uranium to Isfahan yesterday, July 16. And we have this. The U.S. continues hits on Iran's manufacturing and storage of missiles and drones. We have from New York Prepper last night that near Bashir, and that's along the Iran south coast, near the Strait of Hormuz, there's a city, Bashir. Near the city, several miles away, Russia does have a nuclear power plant, which the U.S. to hit. But the U.S. military is pounding the IRGC military base in Bashir, and last night also hit the Bashir airport. So that's going on. And now a short prayer based on Isaiah 29. We pray, Father, in the name of Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, that you encamp around our enemies and that you bring about their speech only to be heard from the ground like whispers of ghosts. And we say, thank you, God the Father, God the Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and God the Holy Spirit. I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there, continue to pray. God is in charge and he is on the move. I love you and I'll see you soon.
Harbor Freight, built for tool people.
Like me.
All right, you guys. Wow. We had a lot out. We had that our news sports lady. Oh man, I'm tired out. I think we got a good view tonight. Another good show. So tomorrow night at 6. Unless we get any breaking news, I'll come on, but not worth to have 2 shows now since we don't know what's going to happen now. It's day by day intel. There's, we just got to play it by ear, day by day. So everybody have a good weekend. If I don't see you tomorrow night, thanks much. Kay, Final, Carol, Lucy, Tim, JJ, and God bless everybody. Love all. Remember, please hit the like. Stay safe, stay strong. Keep faith. Never give up. Thanks, Maria or Lucy, Mom. You're Maria. So yes, everyone have a great weekend and try to breathe. All that air out there is terrible. Signing off, Chico and New. Until tomorrow evening, you guys.